별수な地横なんて哀れよねねえ聞いてよな負けの準備でもしておきな Come try me yet when you were down 悩んでもやめないわ No more 苦い思い消えてよこの街に呼ばれるサメをフェッチャー全力で追い越してよさ Dreaming の始めよう
Country song. You and me going out tonight. Let's turn the radio on. You got your skirt on tight and your legs on long. Let's lay some whiskey down. We'll dance all night, then get it on. Another country song. Tonight, let's turn the radio on. You got your skirt on tight and your legs on long. Let's lay some whiskey down. We'll dance all night, then get it on to another country song. You and me going out tonight. Let's turn the radio on. You got your skirt on tight and your legs on long. Let's lay some whiskey down. We'll dance all night, then get it on to another country song.
I saw you sitting in the moonlight, dripping, pain runs through your heart. Oh, we were skinny dipping, slowly sipping, then we fell apart. I'm just trying to catch a break from your love, oh yeah. find a new life, no love, oh. I can't lie, I've been thinking about us, but you, yeah. Tell me everything's gonna be alright. Tell me that you're never gonna need spotlight. Just say how you feeling, I don't wanna waste time. I saw you sitting in the moonlight, tripping, pain runs through your heart. Oh, we were skinny dipping, slowly sipping, then we fell apart. I'm just trying to catch a break from your love, oh. Hey, cause I need to find a new life, no love, oh. I can't lie, I've been thinking about us, but you know better than anybody around me, yeah, you know. I think we both need a break from this thing called love. All love ain't the thing to question, it's all love. I got plenty problems and no shoulder. Last night on the tour, ain't no tour bus. I saw you sitting in the moonlight, tripping, pain runs through your heart. Oh, we were skinny dipping, slowly sipping, then we fell apart. I'm just trying to catch a break from your love, oh. Cause I need to find a new life, no love, oh. I can't lie, I've been thinking about us.
Putting out the fires, my head calls me a liar. I'm sick of breathing in your smoke. Leave a little longer, embrace a little harder. Yeah, every time we're not wrong, it's like we're walking on water. Oh, too good to last long. Putting out the fires and looking for a miracle. It's like we're walking on water. It's like we're walking on water.
DJ, turn the music up, put the lights down low. All the worries we had, we just let them go. Wasn't looking for love, I was happy alone. When you put your arms around me, how was I to know?
I
You got me feeling things I never felt before. We get lost in the music on the dance floor. If I leave you now, I'll leave you wanting more. If I leave you now, I'll leave you wanting more.
I think I'll sleep till it's over. I think I'll sleep till it's over. I think I'll sleep till it's over. Broken letters, broken pain, breathing every now and then. Getting hurt but never learn. I'm falling short of hope again. I need a shock to bring me round, to pull my head from underground. I'm calling out but there's no sound. How many times can we make up? How many years will this take up? And never is as long as forever. When it's love but it's over. I've woken up in the headlights, taken from the clouds in mid-flight. Never is as long as forever. I think I'll sleep till it's over. 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 Stone days never end. Words I knew you couldn't say. We pretend we're more than this. Make believe that it's okay. I need a shock to bring me round, to pull my head from underground. I'm calling out but there's no sound. How many times can we make up? How many years will this take up? And never is as long as forever. When it's love but it's over. I've woken up in the headlights, taken from the clouds in mid-flight. Never is as long as forever. I think I'll sleep till it's over. 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 I think I'll sleep till it's over.
Oh, won't you break me out? Oh, won't you break me out? Oh, won't you break me out? Break me out, break me out. On the lock, on the key, and I'm doing time. Someone to save me, turn on the light. I don't know what is wrong, but it just feels right. Won't you break me out? Won't you break me out? Like a bad dream, but I can't sleep. Seems like I just can't get past me. Oh, 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 oh. Won't you break me out? You're the chain, you're the lock. Won't you hold me down? for my freedom. You're the chain, you're the lock, won't you hold me down? You're the key to the door, won't you break me out for my freedom? For my freedom, won't you break me out? Oh, won't you break me out? Oh, won't you break me out? Oh, won't you break me out? Break me out, break me out. Oh, won't you break me out? Oh, won't you break me out? Oh, won't you break me out? Break me out, break me out. You're the chain, you're the lock, won't you hold me down? You're the key to the door, won't you break me out for my freedom? For my freedom. You're the chain, you're the lock, won't you hold me down? You're the key to the door, won't you break me out for my freedom? For my freedom. Oh, won't you break me out? When I wake up in my bedroom with you right next to me, holding my hand, something I could get used to, 'cause you're by my side. When city lights blur the evening, hollow skies grab my feelings, and shooting stars have no meaning. I know, I wanna be where you are forever and ever. I wanna be where you are forever and ever. I wanna be where you are. Be where you are. There's nothing like this feeling. Could look at you for hours, don't mind me. Didn't know how much I needed to have you by my side. When city lights blur the evening, hollow skies grab my feelings, and shooting stars have no meaning. I know, I wanna be where you are forever and ever. I wanna be where you are forever and ever.
curious, my boy. Outside your door, you'll find love where you don't know. You know that if you ever tried your last, call out on me if the old wind broke your mind. Set out to sea if you've fallen down. You know that I'm here, so you come on home to me. Oh, my son, stay curious, my boy. Outside your door, you'll find love where you don't know. You know that if you ever tried your last, call out on me if the old wind broke your mind. Set out to sea if you've fallen down. You know that I'm here, so you come on home to me. The day you pick up all your bags, lay down your toys. Oh, my son, stay curious, my boy.
身も蓋もないわねマジでメール既読無視でもてめトラブルならすぐ相談してよだなんて細い指先が僕を指す Please come this wayピンヒールで突き刺す血の味が欲しいまで純粋だと思ったバカね赤いリップで踊るネオンライトがきらめく騙されたなんてめめしいやつね通報するならすれば罪深いの私よこの世のクズどもよかも民がひれ伏す農場の世界へようこそ落とし穴に落ちたあなた Please come this way ピールで突き刺す血の味が欲しい前に純粋だと思ったバカね赤いリップで踊るネオンライトがきらめく騙さ
Stop playing with my heart right now. Girl, I need you in my life right now. Though I'm all tied up, need your love right now. Stop playing with my heart right now. Girl, I need you in my life right now. Though I'm all tied up, need your love right now. No, I'm balling out, yeah, but my heart plays loud, yeah. And I'm all freaked out, cause I got nothing to say to you. But will I be down, yeah, when you come around, yeah. So let's get right down, cause we ain't got much time. And every time you hold me, I think about the times that I was lonely. Keep reminiscing about how you the only one that makes me wanna look into your eyes and say, stop playing with my heart right now. Girl, I need you in my life right now. Though I'm all tied up, need your love right now. Stop playing with my heart right now. Girl, I need you in my life right now. Though I'm all tied up, need your love right now. Yeah, we could take time to work things out, oh, yeah. But I want you in my life so we could have each other, yeah. I know it seems hard to shine, but you're a million stars ahead all the same time, yeah. And you know I really mean it. And every time you hold me, I think about the times that I was lonely. Keep reminiscing about how you the only one that makes me wanna look into your eyes and say, stop playing with my heart right now. Girl, I need you in my life right now. Though I'm all tied up, need your love right now. Stop playing with my heart right now. Girl, I need you in my life right now. Though I'm all tied up, need your love right now.
Different energies I bring, only sickness I fling. Bad like Gustavo Fring, can't try not a ting. Flyboy, I got the wings, and they can't keep up with me, dog. That's why all that I bring is wins. And they wanna hold me back, never doubt I'm a king. When they grab Michael, a chap on the ting. I don't wanna hear no talk from jokers. Say you got waves, I'll split that like Moses. The way that I catch it is flawless, it's awkward, cause they can't do it when they talk up. I don't wanna hear that ever. Stay on the ground like Cellar, they know man shell off. Feel man trying to get ahead of me. They should've known they ain't really got the energy. I got the energy. Run laps and laps round them, they ain't even got no energy. So that means no power, they don't wanna be my enemy. That might end up in a penalty. I got a different energy, no matter what I encounter. No, I got the energy. Run laps and laps round them, they ain't even got no energy. So that means no power, they don't wanna be my enemy. That might end up in a penalty. I got a different energy, no matter what I encounter. No, I got the energies. I got the energies. I got the energy. Run laps and laps round them, they ain't even got no energy. So that means no power, they don't wanna be my enemy. That might end up in a penalty. I got a different energy, no matter what I encounter. No, I got the energy. Run laps and laps round them, they ain't even got no energy. So that means no power, they don't wanna be my enemy. That might end up in a penalty. I got a different energy, no matter what I encounter. No, I got the energy. They ain't even got no energy. They don't wanna be my enemy. I got a different energy. I got a different energy.
So I got my
do. You don't wanna kill my vibe with the wrong beat. If you wanna feel alive, you gotta move your feet. Come on, let's take this downtown. Wake me up to the soul sound. Hit me with a little surprise and give into temptation. Do you feel what I feel? 'Cause I'm feeling alive. I'll be real deal. 'Cause I'm feeling alive. Do you feel what I feel? 'Cause I'm feeling alive. I'll be real deal. 'Cause I'm feeling alive. Now I'm dancing in my new kicks. Getting down to all my old tricks. Gotta get my fix. Now do you think I'm cool? It's all I wanna do. It's all I wanna do. Come on, let's take this downtown. Wake me up to the soul sound. Hit me with the Cali sun. Give me good vibrations. Give me good vibrations. Now I'm dancing in my new kicks. Getting down to all my old tricks. Gotta get my fix. Now do you think I'm cool? It's all I wanna do. It's all I wanna do. It's all I wanna do.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't really care about like all them fancy things. Never had a lust for cars or sparkly diamond rings. I don't really care about them platinum studded boys that run around the whole damn town just showing off the toys. Like do-si-do, I'm ready to go. Been a damn long week, it's time for the show. Call my girls like, ooh, don't you know? I'm with my girls, yeah, my girls. We've been working all day. It's time to dance the night away. I'm with my girls, yeah, my girls. We got records to play, so come let's dance the night away. Come on, come on. Like do-si-do, we ready to go. Sneaker fresh for the halftime show. That's right, girls, we dropping it low. Like do-si-do, we ready to go. Sneaker fresh for the halftime show. That's right, girls, we dropping it low. Here we go. I don't really care about the fortune or the fame. Keep rolling on and holding on. Don't need that crown to reign. Push through all the pressures. Just keep grinding 9 to 5. Yeah, I'm working hard. We playing hard. Goddamn, I feel alive. Like do-si-do, I'm ready to go. Been a damn long week. It's time for the show. Call my girls like, ooh, don't you know? I'm with my girls, yeah, my girls. We've been working all day. It's time to dance the night away. Here we go. I'm with my girls, yeah, my girls. We got records to play, so come let's dance the night away. Like do-si-do, we ready to go. Sneaker fresh for the halftime show. That's right, girls, we dropping it low. Like do-si-do, we ready to go. Sneaker fresh for the halftime show.
my mind. I'm losing my mind. Excuse me, please, but I'm standing. Left or right when you're trapped in the middle. Excuse me, please, but I'm crying. Catch your breath before you get home. I couldn't stay for the battle. I couldn't cross in the middle. But we are far too much too young. I couldn't stay for the battle. I couldn't cross in the middle. I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. Didn't even know what happy means till you came along and walked into my dreams. It's funny how the times can change so fast. Looking straight ahead, I don't think of the past. You've changed everything. It's like bright lights and a starry sky. We're gonna feel that way most every night. Sunlight on a summer day. We're gonna laugh and dance all the rain away. Sing a new melody. It's full of love. It's beautiful and free. 'Cause you belong, you belong, you belong to me. Birds fly, fill the trees like it's always spring. White clouds high above, I know just what I mean. Your smile, this love are an endless road. And I'll walk, I'll run, anywhere it goes. You've changed everything. It's like bright lights and a starry sky. We're gonna feel that way most every night. Sunlight on a summer day. We're gonna laugh and dance all the rain away. Sing a new melody. It's full of love. It's beautiful and free. 'Cause you belong, you belong, you belong to me. Tell me what you're dreaming of, waiting for your fate to come. There goes another day of sacrifice. Are you never gonna try to fail? Never gonna stop to give in? Never gonna try to reach up for the stars? You gotta fight with all of your life. For the doubt takes over your life. You gotta hit that warning light. Are you done with the waiting on right? Oh, right. You better run now, run before you hit the end of your line. stop reaching for the stars. So what you waiting on? Get up, take back control. Ain't no point in wasting all the rest of your life. So what you hoping for? That the luck comes to your door. Ain't no point in wasting away the rest of your time. Oh, no, no.
it's just as boring as it has ever been. But I will still adore you, it's what you mean to me. Do you want me around? Is it all just too late now? Do you want me around? Is it all just too late now? I'm here waiting for you, I'm lay across our bed. I'm still spinning out all your words in my head. I don't wanna fight tonight. 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 I don't wanna fight.
It's in my blood to lift it up and hang my halo on a miracle. And you don't see the scars in me. I defeated the demons of recovery. Every inch I was wrestling in the rubble. Never gave up, I weathered every trouble. I'm a hero, I'm dying in my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's finally time after waiting a couple of days to start things up. We are into round 3, the last pit stop before the double round robin, the double elimination, I should say. My name is Eric. I'm joined by Naimira, who is wearing the most funky jumper I've seen on this broadcast in quite a while. Outside of Lyrics Dinosaurs, of course, but man, you're bringing the blossom in.
I know. Well, I thought that as we're kind of like getting through into kind of like the end of spring, thought I'd take on the colors of the season as well and see what games we've got to blossom between these teams. Sadly, not a round robin. I'd love to see these teams play again, but they've got to fight for that right later into playoffs.
It's weird for me, man, because I'm going into autumn. I'm going into the complete opposite side, being in the Southern Hemisphere. But still, as you said, it's about going forward and going into new blooms, I think, as we look towards yesterday, I believe, to start things off, as we always do. Guys, if you missed out on yesterday, I am sad to say that Top Esports are eliminated. Naimira, this was a massive shock with OMG finding the last 2 games and stealing hearts in a game 5.
And you know what? After seeing their regular season game, where it went to 3 games, and there was so much drama decided by random Baron steals, incredible late game drama, this best of 5 was always likely going to deliver. I think a lot of people would have put weight on the value of history, Top Esports. They came into the split with so many big names, but they couldn't make it work. And OMG now are in their highest placing finish since, I believe, 2017. That team as well going to be incredibly entertaining to watch. They've been one of the most entertaining teams to watch in spring so far, and I'm personally very happy that they get to continue their run in spring.
Isn't it crazy? Because you and I cast OMG's last series at the split, and we're talking about their highest placement yet, but now going into round number 3 is going to be a big task. That's coming up tomorrow to see how they go up against LNG, who have been firm favourites with the way they've progressed in the split, and especially finishing off 3rd as well. But hey, we're talking about our other top 4 team, which is Weibo today, going up against BLG. And Naimira, I think, just taking a bit of a recount onto our side of the bracket, RNG versus BLG ended a bit abruptly as well, with RNG also historical favourites getting taken out by the new up-and-comers in this bin-led team.
And I think if you're kind of stopping in and looking at these big-name teams dipping out of playoffs, a lot of these teams have parted way with huge players. They have started to try and forge something new for themselves. And it hasn't quite clicked yet. It didn't click for RNG right at the end. It didn't quite click for Top Esports against OMG as well. And now we are left with these other teams like your OMGs and, of course, BLG on the stage here today in round 3 versus Weibo, who've managed to find 5 players which have been on the same page and have managed to make themselves more than the sum of their parts.
I mean, again, it's going to be exciting to watch. But first of all, let's introduce Weibo Gaming into the stadium in Suzhou. Starting off with the Might in the top lane. You all know and love him, a historical player in the LPL by now, and a player which we don't know how it's going to perform here in their debut into playoffs. It's the Shy in top. Now remember that alongside him, he's been called a bit of a, I'm going to use a nicer word, right? A puppy to his laners.
Very
in the
polite
past. Well, because that's what Casa is. He's someone who supplements lanes like the top lane for the Shy, which is why this team looks so good together. Now, Naimira, if we're talking about supplementing, Xiaohu there in the mid lane. I mean, this is, again, why we talked about Weibo working so well together and assuming that this team was like a super team in the offseason put together.
For sure, because it has felt like for whatever roster Xiaohu has found himself on, now whatever org he has found himself on, he has been the general. He has been the conductor of the teams he's played on. He's been the Emperor of Spring. He's now in his home season, in his kind of home territory time of the year. But Weibo are, again, one of these other teams that have tried to put together a super team-like project. Now, Weibo, they have managed to find some successes, but as you said, there have been inconsistencies as well. The way that I'd like to coin it is that they play to the level of their opponents. We're in playoffs now. We're actually fairly far into playoffs. We're not through into that double elimination just yet. But if there is any time to start playing above the level of your opponents and starting to put to rest some of those insecurities, now is the time.
Hopefully, Easy Hoon's been able to find some direction and continue to pump Weibo up for this upcoming series, because for BLG, they've already got a bit of a head start going up against RNG. I love that you brought up the point of the Spring King and Xiaohu, while the Spring Kings are currently sitting on the bench and out in round 2 in RNG. BLG are the ones to knock them out. And as we talk about exciting matchups and players that are becoming not only residents but fast-acting names in the league, there you go, that man on your screen, Naimira, 2020 world finalist on Suning, and the only remaining player of BLG to stick around here and continue working on this squad.
And Bin has been on a real tear in spring. It has felt like he has become the top laner to beat in terms of 1v1 matchups, in terms of individual ability in the top lane role. Now, Bin has been given a lot of draft resources, and sometimes that hasn't quite worked out, but 90% of the time, you give him a good matchup, you give him some resources in game, and he absolutely starts popping off. With power picks like Kennen in the meta as well, which have ruled the LPL, there will be a lot of questions for particularly the Shy to answer. And as we've said, his inconsistencies have sometimes come to bite him. He will need to be on form today.
But it's exciting, man. Just talking about top lane draft, I'm sure you and I will go through is, hey, Tabe was just introduced to this roster. Hello, Tabe. I mean, RNG got knocked out. The hilarious thing is, Tabe joined BLG, I think, during the time, or at least the day of, the game against RNG. RNG go down. Tabe's like, yeah, man, I'm the better squad in BLG. And here he is on stage, coaching versus EasyHoon. I know a lot of the time, as Candace introduces us to this matchup, that, Nymira, we talk about the players and their reputation coming in, but these two coaches have been around in the world scene for like 10 years almost. So look, EasyHoon actually a little bit less than Tabe, as he was originally a player in Season 1.
Yeah, for sure. But then, even then, he's still over 10 years in the scene. We've got real legends on and off the Rift behind these players, and having players which have had that on stage, best of 5, sometimes game 5 experience as well, can give you unique insight. Actually, I believe EasyHoon is still challenger in solo queue after all these years. Yes, he still plays a lot of Azir, for those of you who are wondering about that one, still keeping his one trick after all of this time. But Tabe, yeah, he kind of dealt a blow to his former organization that he helped find so much success in RNG. Now, he can do the same to someone who was on the RNG roster as well, the current defending title holder of MSI. It is Xiaohu in that mid lane. Tabe has a history with him, of course, coaching him on the RNG roster where they found those titles. It's on your screen there. If he loses today, he won't be able to defend that title. He'd love to have another shot at it. It is much too early into playoffs to be calling things such as that, but you would not like to see an early end to that story if you're a Xiaohu fan.
As you said, no defending of the title because the rest of RNG are also out, so the fact that Xiaohu is now sitting here waiting, trying to get into double elimination with the safety net. It's no holds bar in the best of 5 where the loser goes home. The winner will not only get a second chance, but have a date with destiny against JDG as players sit on stage and get ready. Nymira, you alluded to it before, and we have to talk about it, brother. Bin versus the Shy. This is the matchup. Man, let's talk a little bit about drafting and what you want to see here, because these two players, I think, when they're performing, their ceiling is incredible.
Absolutely incredible ceilings, but the question is, what are they going to be given in draft? Because we've seen a lot of the time, players like Bin, the only other real top laner that's been given this is Ala over on EDG as well. Really late draft counter picks where you've eaten up 4, 5 bans sometimes a pick taken away, but you're left until the very end of the draft to try and come up with an answer to something. The only pick, which is a fly in the ointment for this, has particularly been Kennen. Sion tends to be banned out as well in the first round. Kennen's the one that's actually getting through. RNG tried to let Kennen through multiple times and lost to the Kennen every time it was left up. Now, you're looking at someone like the Shy. He has always been someone that has had something different in the back pocket. We need to see something like that today, because Weibo, in the regular season, they tried to let through some of these more difficult picks against BLG, notably the Kindred in jungle, very different role, but they've gone through the same mindset before, where they see a power pick and they try and face it head on rather than circumvent it at least once in a best of 5. I think that happens in the top lane today with Kennen.
Well, I mean, just quickly on the Kindred point, if they're going to go head first instead of pounding it away, 81% of the time BLG don't get that opportunity. And Shun's Kindred is one of the most respected in the league. He's a great snowballing jungler player. Kindred, Nidalee, Viego, I'm seeing a bit here as well from the regular season. Nymira, as you said, picks like the Kennen in the top lane are going to be interesting because the Shy also plays it, but not as much as something like the Cassante, the Gnar, even the Renekton, right? I want to point out that he also doesn't play something like the Jax. Bin is a big Jax player and actually decimated RNG on it in one game too. So I feel like we need to mention as we finally go into draft that Bin has a lot of power picks to play with, and already they're all available here if BLG want to go for a fast snap in.
So that is looking at the bans coming through from Weibo specifically. Viego was something that Shun went to later into the series versus RNG. It was also a Lee Sin as well, which saw a lot of value. And typically now we're seeing a lot of Wukong being let through the draft. When you have so much kind of priority on these jungle bans, you have Lee Sin and you have Wukong. It's going to be Kasa on his Lee Sin. What a historic player of that champion. It allows you to play through mid-jungle 2v2. I'm eyeing up something like an Annie pick for Weibo on 2-3 now to flex that between mid and support.
Taking away from Shun as well. Last game against RNG, pulled this out. And again, Shun's someone who can get the ball rolling, especially with a laner like Bin. As BLG, it looks like they want to get the old faithful going. Now, Mira, when we've talked about BLG in the regular season, Elk with his 33% damage profile, he's old reliable, and especially on picks like this.
And a lot of the series between RNG and BLG, at least early on, was can you keep Elk down? Because not only does he have an incredible damage percentage, which is the highest in the LPL coming out of the regular split, also had the highest damage per minute and the highest kill participation of any AD carry within the league. He's got himself Zeri. It's one of those electric duo champions. Kennen notably not banned so far, or not picked as well, which is something which we were highlighting before the draft as a point of importance. We have seen the jungle picks come through, though, and those are ones which we're more used to seeing.
But I'm just kind of interested because Weibo aren't hovering towards the bottom side for now, though. They are going for the mid-jungle here. Xiaohu on a LeBlanc is a bit of an old faithful as well, so a lot of people in the new age won't think about it as they just lock in the top side of the map. The Shy returns to Cassante as he's been doing all split, and he's just willing to try and find a handshake here in this matchup versus Bin.
Yeah, and looking towards less of a handshake, more of a fist fight brawl, you can see those hovers in the mid lane of Yagao. Yagao has had a fairly large champion pool, and if he has gotten himself a combo with his jungler that can work well to kind of play through those early lanes, he can definitely make the most of it. However, he's going to save his pick for a little later. We do see a top lane counter pick. It is going to be that Gwen heading towards that top side. Bin lost his game on that in round 2 in the same matchup against RNG, against Breathe. But this time, with a bit more setup from someone like the Wukong, maybe that gives him more chance to really start scaling towards team fights later on.
I mean, last night we did see Shanji versus Wayward win in this Cassante matchup. So yeah, I mean, again, anything's possible, but I like that you highlight as a counter matchup. We can talk more about the top lane as we get in. But now, though, I want to see what happens in the bottom lane of Weibo Gaming, because they've lost the Aphelios, which is another year-old faithful. Yagao loses the oh my god, Vagar as well.
That's
Excuse
the one.
me. But Nymera, my biggest question is, like, where do we go from here? Because it's just pocket pick after pocket pick, meta pick, but favorite here that's being taken away from each team.
It is a lot. It is a lot of these kind of more specialized picks, as you're saying. It has kind of been Zeri and Aphelios meta in the LPL playoffs through that bot lane. As it stands right now, you're looking at a Gwen, a Wukong, and a Zeri, and Weibo sit there and go, so 5v5s aren't really where we're going to be excelling versus that team comp. They've got a lot of mobility, they've got a lot of ability to play through early skirmishes early on, but particularly losing the two kind of premier remaining teamfight AD carries, Light and Crisp are going to have to find something which is more catered towards their skirmishing kind of style. I don't think they're going to be able to match firepower in team fights.
I mean, there were the bottom lane that were playing things like the Caitlyn Lux as well. I'd be surprised if this came through, especially with the Shy going on Cassante duty. But as we get the Annie on the other side, it looks like for Weibo, they're left with 180 carry in particular. Okay. Crisp as well. Oh, man. One of the best threshers in the league historically, as on matches it with the firepower. This is a great starter to the series.
Hook City, and I think that this answer here has been really, really important for snowballing the game when you play around a lot of skirmishes. BLG, their first picks of the game were about 5v5s. Their last pick of the game is saying, okay, Weibo, you want to play through your pick style. You've got yourself a Thresh Lantern to get maybe something like a Lee Sin out of problematic scenarios, and of course that Jinx as well. But Weibo don't have a lot of AoE engaged. They're playing around a lot of picks. And if On gets there first and he gets a hook, that pick battle is also going to be contested from BLG. They walk away from the draft with teamfight answers, and I think they walk away with some other answers to what RNG have put on the... not RNG. It's hard seeing Weibo on that screen and Xiaohu. We're seeing what Weibo have put on the table.
Bro, when you've been here as long as I have as well, like, I've done it so many times during the split. I even BLG, just because I identify, you know, Bin with Suning, right? Bin with...
all these crossing threads.
Oh, man, especially this split. This is not only the split of reunions. We were talking about it offline, us casters. It's a split of the, I don't know, the muck around. We had a better word for it, but It was definitely the split
revolving
of all
door.
these. Yeah, that's much better, Nightmare. You hit the nail on the head, much like one of these teams are looking to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, round 3 begins. The loser of this does not get a second chance, even despite being so close to the 4th round, to the double elimination, to the second chance. It's all on the line here as Weibo Gaming debut in playoffs to see if they can make that run or if BLG have got the fire in their bellies after defeating RNG. Bin is the player to watch. The Shy, we know the name value. Top lane, we talked up. But let's be real, Nightmare, we could go through all these matchups and they'd be selling the story in a perfect way.
First time here in the crowd today. Jayo's ring out across the stadium. And you're right,
He looks
it
anxious.
has felt like... It's a little bit, huh? But looking across the Rift, looking across all of these champions, you even take the nameplates off, and these are a lot of very dynamic matchups. Mid-jungles, they can go either way. Maybe you look at the Lee Sin LeBlanc and you say, level 3, that's probably where the power spike over the opposing combo is, but both of these mid-jungles, they stay competitive for the entire game. Later into teamfights, Shun and Yagao going to have a bit more agency for the AoE teamfight engage. Bot lanes, you got scaling AD carries, you got those pick supports with those hook champions. Top lane, they have their own rules in this game as well. It will be very interesting to see how both of these teams kind of say, okay, if we're going to choose a place to get a lead, this is where we're going towards it, because it's actually a fairly nuanced discussion.
It really is. And again, I'll be asking you more about the comps as we go throughout, because I like that you mentioned for Weibo, it's not as easy to front to back. It's not as easy to play like maybe BLG play with their team fights. You talked a lot about the pick potential that could come out of this game, so I want to see, Nightmare, how this mid-jungle syncs up, because whenever we see a LeBlanc, a Lee Sin, let's be real, we know in the early game we're going to talk about how much they can abuse their strong pressure.
And in the last round of playoffs, BLG, they had some questions given to them. That's a hook landing at level 1, but it's going to be traded for a plate.
It is.
So normally these TV2s, you see a hook landing, you go, okay, right, do have double ignites in this lane, particularly when you're going towards that level 2. Blitzcrank Thresh. Sometimes they trade their skill shots. As you can see, Chris looking for that level 2, looking to level up that death sentence. But yeah, speaking of those death sentences, On had a number of games on this champion throughout the split, of course, and Shun was playing a lot of those death sentence kind of champions, looking towards damage in the early game.
Beautiful.
On taking the big burst first, though.
Really nice. The hook grabs in response, though. Chris has to flash it away. Blitzcrank, baby. That's all it takes, and it's actually a summoner win for BLG at level 1.
And it is, and now you've hit level 2 from Elk and On. It gives them maybe an ability to abuse that lack of flash, which they do currently have on. Light, of course, does not have the same kind of safety. He has a Lantern out of safety, but it's not something you can really take when you're knocked up. And if you're CC'd down into death, maybe Shun has himself an angle there outside of that mid-jungle 2v2.
We'll see how that interaction comes through. At the very least, though, bottom laners seem like they shake it off and just walk on back. It's a bit of a reset here from Light, who picked up a cull after the Doran's Blade, so just bottom laners doing bottom laner things as you'd expect, while the junglers are on the top side of the map right here, Nightmare. Shun and Kasa clearing pretty much on hand for the time being, but the difference is that Kasa, a little bit quicker, gets towards that Rift Scuttler in the top side. It might give a bit of agency to the Shy. As you can already see, lighting up with some good wards here from Weibo up here too.
Yeah, Yagao just trying to hang on to this farm, trying to put down a ward. He's going to find a Lee Sin in the bush, though.
Tempest, cripple, and a bit of damage. Yagao, spicy chain to end it out, and Xiaohu just asserting his dominance.
What that means is that Shun is probably going to get double scuttled here. Despite Chris losing the flash in that bot side, with the reset, chooses to go into River rather than going back into lane.
Got it.
The River, maybe?
Blitzcrank has flash available as soon as On makes his presence known. Kasa still gets the scuttle, but pays the respect. So as you said, Nightmare, a double scuttle here in the early game is a good sign from Kasa, who's now going to make his back off after getting some follow-up vision. Man, the priority on ward from Weibo already is just covering both sides of the river.
It is, and vision control, obviously hugely important when you have big CC from pick kind of champions like this. The LeBlanc and the Thresh, Lee Sin, all really want to be kind of jumping out of Fog of War, throwing a hook, throwing a skill shot, seeing what lands after that point. In the early game, once you've hit all of your basic abilities, there's kill threat across the board. So, BLG, they would be wise to try and contest this vision control, and they have. On gets a deep control ward just behind that red buff, which means that we'll be able to see Kasa should he kind of walk between Krugs and the rest of his camps.
So I want to start talking about level 6s though, because we are approaching that point. And level 6, there's a lot of abilities that come online that we need to be aware about, right? All out from the Shy, need to work from Bin, but Cyclone, Dragon's Rage, like Tibbers and double distortion availability. I suppose Crank sat down there by the bottom, by the way, is Nymeria, at that level 6 point, I mean, we still don't have a Dragon taken, as it might be started up now, in fact. But I'm kind of looking towards danger around some of these first neutrals with the explosive power that we have on both sides.
Well, as you see, mid-jungle from BLG just poking their heads into the river. Chris gonna have a Lantern in. They're peeling up the Dragon.
Shun's gonna go in and then back out as Dragon stopped. Don's coming through, has the flash, misses though. Chris missing the death sentence. Okay, both hooks are out, but the Sonic Wave follows up. On gets the knock up here. All in from Shun, but Kasa is separated. Meanwhile, Xiao gets the pick off. First blood over to Weibo Gaming, but it is going to be traded off. And in fact, BLG might have the upper hand. That's a fake one. Xiao did the do-si-do, but Chris is going to go-si-go as the Shy joins in the all-out onto the clone, but it gives him the distance to close the gap. Xiao with the biggest brain. It's a 2 for 2, but I'm just looking at that man's skull evolving.
This guy uses the mirror image, uses his clone to completely bait BLG in that fight. If they'd taken down the LeBlanc, that would have been such a much more winning scenario for them. This is pre-14 minutes. It's odd to see these top laners getting involved, but the Shy gets himself involved early by teleporting through to that mid tower and then joining the play after that point. Both hooks missing. Maybe the less said about that, the better. The thing which saves this fight for BLG is that huge flash stun from Yagao. It doesn't mean that they hugely win the fight, but it does mean that they get away with more maybe than they should have done, especially with the smoke and mirrors coming out from the LeBlanc.
Oh, I love it, man. Like, Xiao, that was the direction he's walking. As soon as he's out, you don't even see a directional change. That was clean. And again, 2 kills here for the LeBlanc through mid. The Shy fans sitting in the audience going, okay, we got something here. But more importantly, they got something through mid because Nymeria, we come back to live. And it was 2 for 2, gold still even, but I see a 2-0 LeBlanc here with a bounty with a CS lead. And for Weibo Gaming has now hit level 6, and we're talking about the Lee Sin, the LeBlanc combination. That's a plus.
Okay, so going to hold off on some more thoughts here because we do have supports, junglers, and mid lanes heading back towards this river. BLG, again. They sniff it out, and again, yes, it is going to be a bit of a tussle towards this bot side. So, gold remains fairly even, but as you were saying, Xiaohu has picked up a lot of those resources so far. Also had a Dark Seal for that first fight, got 2 kills, so got maximum value from that. So that's an extra 16 AP in inventory, which is basically double the value of the item. Does mean that there is a little more damage to bring to bear from that mid laner. And LeBlanc is one of those champions that can hop in, kind of play as a poke champion, then hop out. There isn't any sustain really on most of the members of BLG. You have to wait a little while for Bin and Elk to shrug off LeBlanc poke. So Xiaohu, who else could it be, has agency in this game from the mid lane of Weibo.
And he must have listened to you about buying a seal a little bit early. Have to pause on that one. And as On's coming through, Zap disconnected as passage going to be taken. There's a level 6 here on Light, but Crisp is only 4. Blocking the hook for now. On can't get him, but they will find the Thresh. Meanwhile, Light still has that ulti I talked about as Cyclone's been used, but nowhere near can Light stand. So that is a good little pick here and a good gank time from BLG.
But it is. Now both AD carries. We haven't really talked about them as much in-game so far because it's been the fun coming from the skirmish champions on other roles, but you've got a Jinx with 2 assists, holding even-ish in CS, and then you have, of course, Zeri, this electric champion from the AD carry role, which has defined the bot lane meta for a little while at this point, with a lot of resources now in pocket. Elk and Light, I think when you look at these, well, or rather at the start of the year, when you looked at these rosters on paper, maybe you would have had your eyes elsewhere, but the longer we've gone in through regular season, the more late-game insurance and importance has come out of these champions.
Nymeria. Oh my god, I've got to keep on edge a little bit. Yagao is getting bullied around by Xiaohu. This mid lane matchup getting hard. He's even going to move towards the Herald right now. He's already used his double distortion, but he can still jump in onto Shun, whose Cyclone is down. But Xiaohu, you've got no mana, son. He'll get hooked in as the Dragon's Rage saves his life. Weibo taking this at a numbers disadvantage. Xiaohu, not sure about that one. As Herald goes down, Weibo just thought, yeah, we'll 2v3, 2v4 this, 2v5.
What the heck is the thought process there, though? Is it, oh, Yagao won't be able to join the fight. He's got no HP. He's just been traded under turret. But Xiaohu for the cost of that, does not arrive at the objective early, and he doesn't have a lot of mana even to play that fight out with. The Shy also not present at the Herald fight, so BLG, they hang even in the first Dragon fight, but as you were rightly saying, the first neutral objectives of the game have been very important in the meta and were always going to be important in this game. Xiaohu has just put the Annie out of the picture in this one, but they don't even have a top lane. It's a huge miscalculation.
It's just hilarious. I'm just gonna say, like, it wouldn't be Weibo if it wasn't Nightmare. You know, there's moments where their aggression pays off. There's other moments where you think, okay, maybe a bit gung-ho. Xiaohu pays for it with his life. And remember, we were talking about the shutdown that was readily available. He's given that over to Yagao. So even though the bullying's happening here, as I say that though, gonna go golden. The Shy under turret, all out coming through, but he flashes Yagao. Great timing. Otherwise, he was a dead man.
Perfect timing, some might say, as the stopwatch comes to play. Xiao, who might have to be afraid of a stun, does have Merc Treads to reduce the CC value from BLG. The Shy, been involved in a lot of the map, but this has meant CS lead. Plates going down on that top side, can't get anything in that mid lane play, and Weibo, they've overplayed their hand a little bit in a number of these fights. Elk walking down, pops the ult.
Ulti is there. Light has been hit for his half HP. Meanwhile, going into jungle, Casper's going to save the day, but the Dragon's Rage are flashed away. He ain't getting away. Sean knocks him down, and Casa caught out with his pants down yet again.
I don't know if he's safe here. He has his ult. He's waiting for his next Distort cooldown. Uses his ult.
Wants to go back, but Yagal's just waiting there. Xiaohu double distorts anyway, the hook to try and save his life. Xiaohu's okay for now, but BLG are just readily catching Weibo Gaming to the point where now it's a 2K gold leaders. Hang on, action continues on. Was backing in the wrong spot. Light picks up the kill. This is going to be a fanatical game one.
It is, and I think what happens in the last few minutes is Weibo, they try and force so many plays that the regular timers that you're looking around thinking, oh, there's Dragon in a minute and a half. Oh, we're waiting for this wave to crash. They get a little bit out of the minds of the players, and it means that you see a couple of these mistakes come through. On getting picked off, giving gold over. Bit of an awkward moment, but not quite as awkward as the second overstep in as many minutes from the mid-jungle combination of Weibo. Casa caught out, looking towards his red buff. This isn't your jungle at this point. Your waves are pushed in mid and bot lane. Gets caught out for his attempt towards that. BLG now find themselves in a significant gold lead for this timestamp in the game. They're going to have to try and start finding some more tricky plays of Weibo to stop BLG from snowballing.
30 seconds towards the Dragon. Weibo already picked up the first one, though, and if we're talking about how BLG find more control as hooks were going into the night from on, it might be up around this Dragon where Weibo are pushed up quite deep, looking for the pick off on. Already used the rocket grab.
ready to respond to this.
He was a bit antsy on that. The hook lands, the box is down. It's a triple play. Casa with the kick away. Now, Yagal's already sent out Tibbers to play. Tibbers wants a big old hug, but Casa apparently a mean Lee Sin also doesn't know what that thing is as he is blind. Weibo do find themselves an escape, but for BLG, as you said, Nightmare, they were ready.
They are very unlucky that they didn't have the Cyclone to play around that choke point as well. I think if Shun starts spinning around like a Beyblade, Weibo are going to get absolutely blitzed at that point. That is a close execute. Reminder that Jinx had some changes recently, where the execute on a roll around big objectives has been increased to something like 1,200 damage off the top of my head. Does mean that it gets very close, but now he's kind of caught out here on, has flash as well.
It's interrupted. The passage no more. Light has to flash away in the end, but can there be a response kill for On? He's no threat if the Super Mega Death Rogue. The Shy just got solo killed, folks, or at least lack thereof. We're looking towards bot as Xiao goes on in. Cast is going to get Finn the top side. Finn just got a 1v2 while we're looking at this pile in here in bot lane. And BLG must be smiling from ear to ear.
They have to be at this point because Light held down on that bot side. Elk getting more resources, his team putting members onto his side of the map. And on the other side, Bin doesn't need those resources. He just takes a 1v2, finds the Shy low HP. It says, okay, I'm just going to put out that Hallowed Mist, see what I can do with that one. And Needlework absolutely wrecks through them. Gets a number of those snips down. Bin, we already talked about him being a threat in a 1v1 setting. Make that a 1v2 setting as well.
Wow. He had the potential of getting a 1v2 kill as well. So, or rather, both kills. The Shy now a little bit upset. Onto Yagal. He can't find too much. He doesn't have the all-out. So Yagal's just going to play with him for a little bit. But Nightmare, as we were saying, BLG in that replay got themselves the first turret in the bottom lane. Bot's now transitioned here for Light and Chris to go to the top side as BLG might be committing more resources towards the Shy. There's no warding here, but is the Shy got spider senses? Yes, he does. See Shun spotted out while this play on the top side keeps on pushing.
Yeah, maybe we have to refer to them as shiny senses. It's a little bit of a stretch. We'll workshop it. We've got the second Herald coming up. That'll be in 15 seconds. If that one goes down, maybe Weibo, if they were to secure that, could get themselves a charge into the mid lane outer turret of BLG. So I don't think they want to give that one up. I think right now they probably see Herald as their way back into the game because they are currently sat too far behind where they'd want to be. 15 minutes into the game, when you're playing a skirmish composition, when you want to be playing around early levels, is a little scary. So BLG, they'll likely be looking to contest that as well. They have teleport on Yagao to bring to bear. Bin currently sat on the turret up here, alone for now.
Hook not going to land, of course. Halloween Miss just does the job. Crisp unable to penetrate as Xiao waits in brush. That W's not available. Everyone on top of Bin giving them the Shy treatment. What? Needlework! That's the energy of a Gwen top in control. As teleport comes through from the Shy, he just 1v forward for a trade freaking kill.
And what an important point as well. Weibo, they needed this Herald, so they overloaded that side of the map and they thought, hey, let's take down that Gwen, looking pretty scary, right? Well, 4 people, that'll be enough. It wasn't. He goes in and he takes down so much healing. He already had that Leeching Leer. He has some Omnivamp available to him. And then the AoE starts to rip. It's a miscalculation by Weibo, but only by tens of HP, but that amount is more than enough to see them through to a win.
And the Shy might just be dying off the back of that replay. BLG keep getting more and more. Gold might not be skyrocketing, but folks, these kills are leading to more and more itself. As with this Herald, inner turret's going to go down. BLG pushing the tempo up. Nymira, that gold now at 4,000 at 17 minutes with BLG cracking the base just about. Xiao's dealing with bot wave, but an inhibitor turret's just going to drop here.
Oh my word, this is a very dangerous snowball coming in from BLG now, because once you start taking down inhibitors, once you start getting past the second Heralds and towards Barons instead, Weibo are not going to be able to play around 2v2s, 3v3s, where Lee Sin, LeBlanc start to really shine. Even stuff like the Jinx ult can come into play at that point. And then they have to start playing around grouped up 5v5s. That's a problem for them. They wanted to delay that for a little bit, get as much value as they could. They're not going to be given that degree of safety.
Again, for Weibo, every single time we've seen them go towards an objective or a fight, Nymira, BLG are waiting or ready to counter. Props to BLG in this game. I feel like they've had their finger on the pulse so well. As now Bin running forward, no fear at all. As Light's caught out with a rocket grab there. A death sentence. Light will be saved, but it's not far on the journey he'll go. The box down with Flay gives Chris a bit of space, but On has done his job. Elk is running forward melee without the need to pop the ulti. He doesn't have it. And now for the hook in the brush, Ashun's just seen that come out. Doesn't care. BLG, the rocket grab denied, as the Shy just has a boxing glove next to his head. But Beanie will get flipped back for the time being. The all-out there taking over the turret. Bin's gone a little bit too far. CC follows up, and Jigao has followed through as well, but he gets a trade onto Chris. So, at the end of the day, it's still BLG's win, as now even Elk through mid will find a turret. It looked a little sloppy, but BLG just keep getting more.
Yeah, but in any other world, that ult from the Shy would give Weibo a point of power. You've just taken down that Gwen. We've talked about the problems that Bin has been presenting Weibo across this game so far, but it's not even enough. BLG, they're there in force. They have grouped up where we said they have themselves points of power. They take themselves under the dragon, and all Weibo gets to their name is one kind of return kill and a Raptor camp after that point. BLG cruising in game one.
Again, BLG, the team that's come off momentum off the back of RNG, but it's nice to see, especially with On's end of season performance, and now his great game one performance here in this series as well.
Yeah, and BLG, actually, a lot of their successes, particularly in the drafting phase, have been through prioritizing on something that has agency. Typically, it's been something like the Rakan for him, but the Blitzcrank as well, no stranger to this one. Been playing it out as a pick champion in this one. As we said, it was a great response to what Weibo wanted to do with their back end of the draft. Weibo probably weren't looking for 5v5s. They were looking for more of these kind of around the edge skirmish picks.
Yeah.
And On very much helping with that, taking away the AD carry before things can even start.
And remember that this game, if we're talking about that pick potential, started with Xiaohu getting a double kill. Started with a 2-0 LeBlanc, with the stacks in the Dark Seal, which are now one less now than they were at the start of the game. And it's never really come to fruition, Nightmare. We've never really seen the picks set up. It was that, I think, that Herald fight that
Herald
they
into
so
that bot
over-ambitiously took. Yeah, that I think set Weibo up to really fall flat on their ass in this first game.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Weibo, this is not the first time we've seen it from them. They overestimate themselves in the early to mid game. They sometimes settle down when it comes to late game. So you see Bin. This guy's a wrecking ball through the top side of the map. You see what he does to Weibo in that picture-in-picture. Returns back to the top lane now. Going towards Nash's tooth second. It's something which Bin has done for 1v1 tower threat and for the ability to kind of take down something like that Cassandre. Now Xiaohu caught out, doesn't have himself his ult. Will have to play some smoke and mirrors, getting TP'd on.
And that's going to be just danger, isn't it? Cyclone by the dozen, by the double as stun comes through. Xiaohu doesn't even get a chance to use his spell to bring those smoke and mirrors we saw earlier in the game. BLG now with the pick off of mid. 30 seconds before that teleport comes up, Nightmare. Here comes the Baron.
So the Shy's going to come in, but again, Weibo, they don't want to be playing grouped up. It's a difficult fight for them. What can they do?
The Shy hooked, he's silenced, he's near worked up. Bin chases him down the kick away while Elk takes down Chris. Weibo Gaming, they're meant to be the higher seed here, but BLG are putting them to work as Shun runs in again, the flash in. The Shy's low health bar to play with. Weibo lose their top laner too, and Cast is only going to be survived by this ward hop over the back. Weibo are triumphed over in game one by BLG.
This is toying with that food. BLG, they find themselves the lead, and they know how to play their lead out. BLG walking out of round 2 into round 3. The most important thing to note about that series was not that they won, it was how they won. Every time they took a game, it was in a different way. And this one's another skill set yet again, dealing with a skirmish comp, forcing Weibo to come to them and continually beating them over the head.
Whoa! Okay, well, BLG not standing in the way for the rocket to hit. But BLG look like they're doing it again. The adaptation here, the pick of the litter and draft. I mean, Weibo went for the top side early, Nightmare, and BLG countered straight away. I've got to say, Bin has been the better top laner in this opening game. As we look at this replay again with numbers disadvantage.
Dude, because again, Weibo, this is not the fight that they want to be taking. They don't have a choice. BLG are making that decision for them by starting the Baron. You can't play on multiple lanes, 1-3-1, skirmishing if you're against the Baron. The minions become too much of a problem. So BLG force Weibo into a poor situation. LeBlanc had died just before the play started, and then they hit him again over the head with the 5v4 fight.
Now we look at a gold lead that's triumphed over 7,000 gold, or at least getting close towards that if the turret didn't go down. Xiaohu getting something here for Weibo, but Baron's now up. 3 items, Zeri's now up. The Gwen, who Nymera, as you and I talked about, I think last time we cast BLG, Bin, who is like, I guess our one true side laner of the LPL, or at least one of the most popular, is set up to side lane so successfully with a bit of an item difference himself.
So Elk taking up residence in this mid lane. Caster's trying to find himself a pocket of fog of war to play around, but BLG, again, they're just grouping. They've got themselves Yagao and Bin on side lanes currently, but I think at this point, with the gold lead which Weibo have, even if you engage onto Elk on this area, probably going to get himself the ability to fire over a wall. The Shy might pull the ult here, but Elk is not the target. You can't win this.
Look at his angle, look at his angle. The Shy's dead though. Before the play can start up, Caster's going to come through, but this is just a Hail Mary at this point. A Sonic Wave, yeah, okay, now we know where Caster is, and a bit of mistiming from Weibo again.
And a bit of a misallocation of resources. Who are you targeting? If you're not killing the Zeri, it's Elk's Zeri with an Infinity Edge with multiple items. He's going to absolutely wreck face after that point. On gets
no way! He got it, he got it, he got it, and he got it on with a great hook again. 0, 2, and 9. This guy's blitz has been exceptional in this opening game. Definitely playing on, not off today. The hook on Light forces the flash Yagao with his own flash with pivots coming out. The damage is so immense. Even Xiaohu has to run away as the Dark Passage used to save the health bar of Light. Oh my god, here he comes again onto the Shy. The hook only missing this time as against the wall. The now respawned top laner tries to find a knockback, but an inhibitor goes down. BLG, the kickback here is only onto Shun, but he survives. BLG with a 5-man strong army run forward with the Seam Mistress. Would you like any sewing work done? Well, snip, snip, yes I do. The Shy back to base, wants to flip him onto the Nexus, but it ain't there. BLG, an exquisite performance to open up our series in round number 3. They're feeling it here today as the debut of Weibo Gaming has just been trumped.
And to anyone who was wondering whether surely this is just our highest seed being a favorite in this matchup, reminder how close the regular season was. We were one late game team fight that Weibo could have lost in their last series of the split, where BLG would have actually been the highest seed. They could have been starting here ahead of them, and now coming into this playoffs match, having a best of 5 in their sails already, being the wind behind their backs. BLG, they come out with a huge, huge first game.
And man, it's rough to look at Weibo with the potential that we know, but also we know that Weibo also have this caliber in them as well.
Bit.
But I think more importantly, like highlighting how BLG, played out that game. It was the Herald down to bot side. It was Weibo's mistake, but BLG's shot calling their, I guess, contingency plans when things started getting traded off the map. And like, Elk is reliable. Your Gao was not winning the lane, but he was still adding so much to the skirmishes. And even Bin, like, I mean, talk about old reliable, taking on the whole army of Weibo at points of the game.
He was Rambo at that point.
he was still trading. It was nuts.
It was. And I think looking at how BLG played this out, I mean, as we said, this is a very versatile team. When they came out of round 2, the thing which I was scared for Weibo about was, hey, what version of BLG are you preparing for? Because there was the 1-3-1 where Yagao popped off on the Silas. There was Elk on the Zeri going absolutely nuts. And then there was Bin on stuff like the Cannon going crazy as well. And this happened to different degrees throughout different games. BLG come into this first game. They give themselves counterpicks where they're needed. They give themselves the team fighting potential. They see that the only way that Weibo realistically get ahead in this game is snowballing through the mid jungle. So Yagao just soaks pressure. They force good fights when there are mistakes made by the Lee Sin and LeBlanc as well. And as soon as that threat is gone, it's absolutely easy to close out that game from BLG.
Yeah, and I mean, again, the fact that the window was so slim, I feel like with Shahu's lead, you know, many other teams in the league, or at least like our top 4 teams outside of Weibo, would maybe handle it a bit differently. But this time around, direction wasn't there, coordination wasn't there, a bit of a sad opening show up, but still, off the back of watching BLG versus RNG, more of what we know. I mean, Yagao had a really good series, but like Bin has just been old faithful. And on this Gwen, Nightmare, I wouldn't be surprised if he got MVP, considering that not only did he take down a couple of people in the 1v2s, in the 1v4s, but Bin was just this threat that I guess the Shy couldn't stand up to.
I think I would put my vote there if I were given that choice as well. This Gwen was getting victories not just in very difficult scenarios, but in very important scenarios too. The first one in terms of the 1v2, yes, that was something when Weibo were looking for a cross map, so just kind of removed their ability to kind of win at least on the other side. But one just before that second Herald, when Weibo were kind of mounting their last ditch effort as well. Hugely important plays.
Well, for a game 1 win, I mean, BLG already on the train once again here. We'll see if Weibo can wreck that, or if game number 2, BLG are just going to surprise us again and continue on moving right after this break. And now we arrive at playoffs. That elusive time of the year where all of your practice is put to the final test. The moment where that single prevailing question is answered. Can you show up when it matters? It doesn't matter if you're a rookie or a veteran or, well, rookie. This is your shot at the trophy. This is what it's all been about. Keep your eyes on the prize as the world keeps their eyes on you.
The LPL are kings again.
Your heart of glass, empty and hollow.
Shy now, just infinite advantage in the top side. Has his ultimate, if he could find the stun, this could be a kill from the Shy. Flashes in.
Yes, Knight jumps in on the Dogger, who's forced to cleanse to get himself away. But they've already killed off Baolan. They're going to kill off a hell of a lot more. 3 kills, maybe 4, maybe make it a clean 5-0. JDG are having fun this game.
Flick back into the game. But Tarzan,
Toro!
he's gone!
God, LPC gets sniffed out of existence!
BLG just methodically eviscerate LGD. No man's land escape right now. I don't think he can get out of this one. Yukao should come around the corner and pop his bubble. As Beituan chases him down. This is another big shutdown going over. Unless Leave can do something about it. Oh my God! ADG's Leave is on another level.
It's you, your brothers in arms, and a shot at the title. You either go all out or you go home. So let's see what you're made of.
DJ, turn the music up, put the lights down low. All the worries we had, we just let them go. Wasn't looking for love, I was happy alone. When you put your arms around me, how was I to know? You got me feeling things I never felt before. We get lost in the music on the dance floor. If I leave you now, I leave you wanting more. If I leave you now, I leave you wanting more. I never wanted it, now I can't get enough. You turn me on, how could I turn you?
I think I sleep till it's over. I think I sleep till it's over. I think I sleep till it's over. Broken letters, broken pain. Breathing every now and then. Getting hurt but never learn. I'm falling short of hope again. I need a shock to bring me round. To pull my head from underground. I'm calling out but there's no sound. How many times can we make up? How many years will this take up? And never is as long as forever. When it's love but it's over. I've woken up in the headlights, taken from the clouds in mid-flight. Never is as long as forever. I think I'll sleep till it's over. 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 Stone days never end. Words I knew you couldn't say. We pretend we're more than this. Make believe that it's okay. I need a shock to bring me round. To pull my hair from underground. I'm calling out but there's no sound. How many times can we make up? How many years will this take up? And never is as long as forever. When it's love but it's over. I've woken up in the headlights, taken from the clouds in mid-flight. Never is as long as forever. I think I'll sleep till it's over. I think I'll sleep till it's over. it's over. I think I'll sleep till 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 it's over.
Oh, won't you break me out? Oh, won't you break me out? Oh, won't you break me out? Break me out, break me out. Under lock, under key, and I'm doing time. Someone to save me, turn on the light. I don't know what is wrong, but it just feels right. Won't you break me out? Won't you break me out? Like a bad dream, but I can't sleep. Seems like I just can't get past me. Oh, 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 oh. Won't you break me out? You're the chain, you're the lock. Won't you hold me down? You're the key to the door. Won't you break me out from my freedom?
我觉得 WBG 下路是很全面，然后对线也很强的选手，在面对他们的时候，我们就做好自己沟通还有视野就行了。我觉得 BO5 跟 BO3 里面不同的地方就是，你可以找到对方一把英雄的手感来，从而更换英雄，然后作为辅助就是做好视野，然后提醒队友该干嘛就行。走到这一步的话，我们的目标肯定是越打越好，越走越远的。
Well, good stuff there, especially from On, who needs to go on and on in the rest of the playoffs. My name's Asterix. I'm joined by Nymera. MVP, by the way, Nymera. Wasn't that top lane Gwen we're talking about? It was the support Blitzcrank. And to be fair, I totally went over this. Like, this is well-deserved considering what a rudimentary effort he put in. Oh, sorry. An exquisite effort that this man put in on the Blitzcrank and the amount of hooks he landed.
Yeah, I mean, the rudimentary stuff went well as well. If you're talking about what Blitzcrank wants to play towards, he made it look like that, right? Where he's just walking up, getting huge pickoffs onto the AD carry and just saying, okay, I hit my skill shot, someone's dead. The reason why BLG could play out this game they wanted to, why Bin could play out through strong kind of 1v1, 1v2s topsides, because he never had to worry about the enemy jungler, because On came to the plays which mattered for the rest of his team and drew Weibo into bad situations. On throughout most of this game, through early game, kind of controlled what was happening through the bot side, and then just made Caster's life really, really difficult. When he made an overstep, there was a Blitzcrank there waiting for him.
It was just so clean. And again, syncing up with Shun on plays like this, even catching out Light, like the initiative here, just running up to him and landing a great hook. Again, there was great denials of dark passages as well throughout this game. Where On acted like the better support. And Nymera, when you're talking about Crisp, you know, a world champion from FPX, a world player, someone who's always been in a top team, you know, ever since 2019, I guess. You think, well, he's going to be the better support in the series. But On has been showing up massively, not even just in the RNG series, but the end of season when you and I were casting BLG. He was one of their star players. And we used to talk about this on and off switch. Man, it is permanently been set in On. There's like some tape on it or something. Because ever since the last couple of weeks of regular season, he has been On.
But the way that they've managed to just like drill into that switch and just kind of like nail it to the wall, you should probably not do that with Electrics thinking about it. Anyway, he's managed to stick it on is by giving On just freedom to pick what he feels he wants to play in a lot of times. I think something that we picked up towards the end of the regular season, and then also we saw again against RNG, was there was some times where On was going towards something like a Rakan, where it actually didn't work for the lane partnering. It was kind of, you know, like a Phalios Rakan. That's not something that we see as much right now, but because it's On and he's comfortable on it, he uses that space and just uses the champion well. He's found his comfort picks and stuff like that Thrash, the Blitzcrank, and the Rakan to do really, really well and play out the champion as he knows how to.
I mean, he has a similar champion pool to people like Chris, but it goes further. I mean, there's things like Pyke. He has pocket picks all over the place.
Very true.
And especially throughout his, I guess now, new experience when he had to replace Sword Art in Suning. he has really grown up to be, I think, one of the better supports in the league. It's nice to see.
He's up
but
there,
Nymera,
yeah.
as we're heading towards our second game, with BLG now not even reinvigorated, just wondrous at the moment from game one. I want you to talk to me a little bit about draft and your thoughts there, because we came into this talking a lot about the Shy versus Bin. We talked a lot about that top lane draft. And after we just saw, Bin versus Breathe, now we've seen Bin versus the Shy. It feels like a similar narrative keeps coming up, and in how BLG are also setting him up for success up in that top side.
And it's kind of manifested in a slightly different way than I would have thought of it, because it wasn't about Kennen. It wasn't picked, it wasn't banned, despite it LPL Kennen being incredibly powerful. It was the Shy trying to see if his blind pick of the season, Cassante, could work against Bin. I think we discovered, no, not really.
Yeah.
Bin pulls out that Gwen, takes the individual matchup, and makes sure that whenever the Shy was trying to get involved in these early plays, reminder that he used his first teleport of the game before Unleashed Teleport to get towards a bot side fight to then influence things. But actually, that's made him suffer in the 1v1 matchup. I wonder if the Shy, kind of seeing what happened in game one, needs to go back to that 1v1 and just say, look, I need to have a bit more power to keep Bin down, because when he has an individual advantage, well, we saw the 1v2 and the 1v4 plays come out afterwards.
And again, it was just extraordinary to see. So hopefully they did put the Shy on something with a bit more agency. The Cassante, something he's been playing a lot this split. I think 17 games that would make that now.
Including that last one, yeah.
Again, we don't want to see the Shy on Cassante. We want to see the challenge of that top lane matchup, despite whether he can find his shoes in the Cassante for a game two or whatnot. So there's a lot of questions to be answered here by Weibo Gaming as well. I think there's a lot of questions about synergy and about syncing up Nymera that need to be answered here as we're about to go into draft now. The VIP section always leads us in, and we have to see what changes here, because Weibo, blue side once again, and they're just banning away Schwin's champion pool, which should finish with, what, a Viego here again?
That was what they did in game one. So these are exactly the same bans so far. So BLG, they chose not to ban out something like the Lee Sin or the Wukong last time. They banned out the Lucian. So this is the same bans as game one. And this means that likely we're going to see ourselves some similar priorities. No, throw that to the winds. It's a change. So this is going to be that Jace. Of course, the Shy has been a historical Jace player. He's played 2 games of it this split. Xiao, who has played the 3 games of it. Typically, we've seen more Jace in mid lane than top lane throughout the entirety of spring. But if we were talking about, hey, you maybe need to go back to 1v1ing a little bit more from the Shy, rather than just kind of sucking it up and trying to play Cassante through mid-game team fights, that is a powerful pick to do so.
I mean, it's interesting because the Shy's second most played career-wise is this Jace. Kennen comes under it. Only 3 games under it, but still, you think about, Jace Kennen, that's the Shy. So, again, maybe trying to get in the heads of BLG with Easy Hoon drafting this a little bit, while BLG just go back to what they know and love. Nymera, the Zeri was so good in game 1. It's always good for Elk. It is his most played champion. Now on 50, I don't even know. We've got to count playoffs in there, but it's a lot, right?
It's a lot.
So BLG just continue to look to set him up.
Yeah, and now I'm a little bit worried, because the thing about the Jace is that, yes, it is really good if you kind of get to choose your matchup. You do have that Maokai to kind of buy you some space. I'm wondering right now if Weibo just want to hold on to this as a flex pick and just say, look, maybe we need to kind of chuck this into the mid lane. The problem is, if you put the Jace top lane, you might worry about something like a Kennen, which is why they have to lock that away. They can't force the Jace in towards that top side. They're not going to do away with their they are going to do away with their flex pick for this moment. So now the Shy gets probably the premier top laner on the patch, and Bin has to start trying to counterpick something in that top side. I wonder if an Annie gets locked in here for BLG just to try and contest mid-jungle 2v2, though. I don't know if they can chuck in a top laner at this point. They're wondering which solo lane to counter as it stands.
Would be something as well. We've seen this a couple of times, the Yordle v Yordle battle, and Bin's going to pull that out instead of giving something like the Annie you mentioned. So we have our top laners locked in now. As you were just recalling, things like the Annie available, a lot of mid laners that we need to start looking at here with the change in compositions.
For sure, and those mid laners going to be very important for Yagao to kind of flex around. He's played obviously a lot of stuff like the Veigar. Maybe you can have the Gnar slam into the Veigar cage kind of combo in these team fights. But just backtracking a little bit to, again, this top lane matchup, I am really surprised this is a Gnar being locked in, because Kennen destroys Gnar early. In fact, Bin has used this matchup to that same extent in this split so far. So kind of locking in a self-counter matchup is basically saying, look, I want to get towards 2 items of the Hull Breaker before I can start threatening in side lanes, which is what Bin has always done. This is a bit of an ego pick from BLG's top laner.
I mean, again, why shouldn't it be? He's been playing so well, and I feel like against the Shy too, it's a call-out because the Shy's most played champion is that Gnar, and it's very obvious it's one of his favorites too. So the Shy should see this coming, should see how it operates. And it means that top lane is going to be all the more spicy for it, while we're talking about top side. Bot is just getting banned away. No Blitzcrank. I respect that ban, but BLG do have the option here to get their bottom lane support of choice if they so choose.
Now, the last of the playmakers which On really loved to be playing was something like either the Leona or the Rakan, which is now being hovered. As we said, Rakan been forced through in a number of BLG drafts, despite necessarily not having the easiest time. But that's going to be held until last pick. We don't have support yet. Instead, we have Yagao on Sylas. If you did not watch Yagao's Sylas game in round 2 versus RNG, it was magical. Solo kills galore, stealing ultimates and making an absolute mess of RNG's team. Now he has a Cannon ult to steal and a Maokai ult, both of them very powerful. And he has some ability now to really start throwing some of Weibo's tools back at them.
Does mean for BLG, though, they're leaving counterpick for support. So Weibo going to lock in the same duo that they played in game 1. And it's going to have to be a different variety for On. No Blitzcrank available, no Nautilus. The engaged support that is left up and standing is this Leona. And he took a page from this when he was on Suning. It was watching Sword Art play in his commanding position when Sword Art was, I guess, a lot better than he is now in the LPL. Sorry to Sword Art for the shade, but it is true. On has been someone who, again, following in his footsteps, his Leona's been up and coming and quite prominent as well. So we'll have to see how the direction leads here with Nymera, then finally getting, I guess, some more reliable engage for BLG.
For sure. I think On having a playmaking engaged tool, whether it's in kind of pick CC or teamfight CC, has been part of the blueprint for BLG's returns to stability through the back half of spring. They started off being a little bit thereabouts with their engages. They struggled a little bit towards the start of the split. This was one of the ways they stabilized. Now, looking at this game, though, compared to game 1, you look at what could be a big 5v5 brewing, and I do think that Weibo come out with a lot more guns to bear. When you've got cannon ults flying over the top of things, when you've got the Jace being able to have some space bought for them by Thresh Lanterns. It doesn't just have to be Jinx being saved by that, and of course the Maokai ult as well. I think that when it comes to 5v5s, BLG will not just be able to run over this game. So BLG now with some questions asked of them in terms of how do they want to set up their early game? How do they want to get ahead of the game? Because if they start stacking up into cannon ults, that's where things get a bit spicy.
Well, we wanted to see some adaptation from Weibo. At least we got it. BLG changing pace, and as you said, top lane feels a little bit egotistic from Bin, so we're going to have to see if he continues his form from game number 1, because game 2, a whole different ballpark here in our round 3 of LPL playoffs. All it takes is BLG to find this win, to move to match point, to be one step closer towards Jingdong and the doorbell of the top 4. BLG in a commanding position as the Shy looking real cute coming onto Summoner's Rift for game 2. Oh, pause.
Oh, it's broke everything. Cuteness overload. There we go. Back to sepia.
Woo.
Well, we did see a quick snapshot of what was happening as teams walked out onto the Rift there, though. We did actually see a 5-man stack from BLG towards that top lane. A lot of the time you can do that to try and catch out someone who stood in River, and also to get a ward in that top lane brush. Now, we did talk about the Kennen being a good matchup into the Gnar. Typically, Gnar has been counterpicked by Kennen before. One of the ways you can kind of shift that matchup a little bit more towards that Gnar, though, is by allowing them a bit of brush control where they can kind of get some auto trades in, hop out of minion aggro by going into one of those bushes. And yes, that side is probably what Weibo needs to be doing, keeping a bit of that calmness, carrying on into this game. Hopefully not carrying on from the results of game 1, however.
I was going to say, that is an ambiguous sign, because is it for BLG? Is it saying the rest of BLG should carry on? I mean, On carried them in game number 1.
Sure.
So.
Oh, yes, keep calm and On carry. Oh, sorry, we got it the wrong way around.
And carry on. Yeah. Oh, man. I mean, that, again, very ingenious sign. I don't know what Shy Me is. I just saw that in the audience as well. I think I've heard that before from our Chinese audience. Shy, me, I don't understand.
You would
I
know
need
more
one of
about
those
this than I
headbands.
would.
Only a little though. That's the thing. Is I've only ever been to the LPL arena as a fan once. That was in 2019. I saw Top Esports and JDG before they were cool.
Yeah?
In 2019.
Before they were cool.
Yeah.
Oh, really? You're pulling that
Yeah.
one now. Hipsterics.
I was
Hipstering.
so hip. Dude, I went to the audience, and in game 2, it started with a massive zoom in on me, and I thought, oh my god, scared the crap
This
out
is
of
your
me. and
moment.
That was my best moment in LPL. I think more importantly though, watching that live, that was a banger. It is it's a great experience because, I mean, people would know from overseas, but again, LPL fans, I think global fans don't have the same opportunity, right? They can't go and watch these games in person. They'll see them at Worlds, but there's so many teams in the LPL, you don't get the full representatives. You know, you miss
so
out
many
on a
stadium
team that
games
fits.
too, actually. The fact that
yeah.
you can travel to all of these different stadiums when you've got like the Shanghai one, you've got like Suzhou as well. So many of these different arenas around. You have like home arenas for some of these teams too. That's an experience which is very hard to replicate across other leagues and other titles and stuff like that as well. But LPL fans, they definitely make the most of it too, because you kind of set up this arena, these stages to kind of have these great events on, but then you also have the audience really commit to it. You've got all of these LED signs, you've got all of these kind of community through lines kind of coming through as well in terms of the references they make, the effort which they put into kind of supporting their teams.
I mean, again, like the signs that aren't available overseas, LED signs are just nuts in China, and as players look like they might be getting into it back soon, I just need to let everyone know BLG Bin reported a device problem, so they're investigating it. So the enemy top laner from Weibo, as we started looking at the Shy, he is the one trying to find out some kind of cause here. So we'll keep you updated with that, as thank God it's Friday on the chairs, by the way. TGIF, great branding. I have to say, it looks like something Optimus Prime would endorse, and his side
they are
hustle.
villain chairs. They are 100% like
maybe
League of Evil kind of chairs. I appreciate it. It is imposing. It gives a real sense of like circumstance and like this grandeur to it. But it is villain chairs.
They really are, and again, they're bangers. So props to whoever did the chair design. It's like every player has wings or something. I don't know, like the Galio wings maybe. That's what they were going for, but. Hey, we are back into Summoner's Rift, and Nomura, we were talking a little bit about the emphasis changing from BLG, maybe having to be a little bit more proactive here, because with Weibo and how they're going to play this, seems like the cannon is going to be a deadly issue for them to deal with as this game goes on. Oh, it's cute. Space.
I didn't know
David
if that was
Bowie
cute
and Mick
or whether
Jagger.
that was that. No, that is some meme template like material in terms of like it's me running away from 9 a.m. alarm on Monday going to work or something like that. 100% that kind of meme. E-start from Yagao. Going into bone plating though from Jace. Of course, we have seen a lot more Jace in this mid lane. Jace has typically been a fairly strong level 1 trading champion in when he outranges a matchup and kind of chooses moments to all in. Not so great when he's range versus range or is against one of these gap closers. See that Yagao taking some hard trades. That will be fairly flippy. See if those junglers can get involved.
You see the aggression already coming through. Game 1 was very aggressive with the trades back and forth, and even through mid, already trying to find that net advantage. Bot was the same too, as level 2 versus level 1, it was the Blitzcrank that forced out the flash. On not going to have that same advantage here in this game, as looks like Light should be in a position control once again to hit that level 2, while Nomura just speaking about all lanes. The Shy already doing a good job of trying to zone Bin off with the damage that he has access to. You talked about this being a bit of a lane counter. The Shy already showing us a bit of why.
Yeah, and it's not even starting with something like the E. We have occasionally seen E level 1 from Cannon to get an extra attack speed, get the first kind of Mark of the Storm prop down as well for a little bit of extra damage. Instead going for the QW, waiting for that empowered auto attack, trying to get that 3 combo stun. Of course, the damage through with that as well. So wave control on that top side, mid lane, and actually all lanes currently pushing in for Weibo. But the thing is, when you're pushing in with all lanes, normally you think, oh wow, doesn't this give so many options to the jungler? Maokai is not great at playing aggressively. He prefers to kind of be responding to lanes, so I don't think he's going to be invading, especially into a Lee Sin. What he really wants to be doing is responding to Shun's first play of the game. Now, Shun on this Lee Sin has had some recent success with this, had some absolute pop-off games against RNG on this pick in the best of 5 just before this one. See if he can do the same against Weibo in game 2.
that wave gets pushed up in the bottom lane. It looks like bot's not going to be the table of contents. As Yagao, it's gone to Duck Sonic Wave. Xiao just dead. The timing beautiful, and Yagao sets it up to spike it down.
And Weibo, they're already on the move towards mid lane, but they just don't get the timing. Yagao, Shun, this Lee Sin, Silas combo, so powerful once you hit level 3. And while Weibo are going to walk away with a double scuttle, the Shy, what's happening in this top side?
Yeah, I mean, Bin's got the auto attacks. There's the flash boomerang. Is it going to come through? The Shy has the lightning rush away. He gets the poke, but he needs a 1-2-3 boomerang. Dodged away, but Bin now up a summoner through whatever happened in the top side.
That is bizarre. I think the reason why the Shy gets a bit scared is because he doesn't know where Shun is after that point. I'm not sure he saw where he was, and of course Shun was in top river after that point. Actually, with the Scuttle Shrine up, there was a chance of that. I saw a comment earlier on Twitter, which was, the Shy and Bin, not only just the world champion versus the world finalist, it's also the battle of top laners who just wish junglers didn't exist. So I completely agree with that one, as you can see that. But in the mid lane, jungler, of course, even though we have some object permanence issues when we start fighting in these 1v1s, you kind of hope that jungler's not there and he pops out, kills you. Does end up turning up in that one. This is just, what the heck happens here? He keeps minion aggro. I think that's part of it. He keeps minion aggro into the bush because Bin dips into it. The minions kind of adding the extra DPS, and despite the cannon being good into the Gnar, the Shy taking a bit of an awkward trade.
Down a summoner, has to TP back to lane. Bin did the same, but he's got his flash still up and available, and Nymera at that 6 point, that's when things get a little bit interesting, as Bin is fast approaching the Shy. Got about a full EXP bar to go, but something that we can keep our eyes on is meanwhile on the bottom lane, Elk having a good time against Light with this wave pushing back up against him. But that mistake, again, early on, for Weibo losing that Jace out, giving Shun a bit of leverage. Nymera, it just feels like we're talking about Weibo on a bad take all over again. And Xiao is going to go for the all-in. Level 6 is hit, but it's just the Jace. And for Yagao, he's going to get close himself.
Yeah, next cooldown of E, this is still dangerous. Now, Xiaohu does still have flash. He might have to use it early.
Cannon. Oh, he gets away, but has to burn it. The fact that he has to burn it there for the cannon, it just doesn't feel right.
And Jace without flash feels so horrid to play. And without that flash, we can't really necessarily play this 2v2. Caster going forward.
Double sapling. Okay, but the stolen ult, Yagao gets it before Caster does. They're all in on the Xiao, and again, a kill goes down. Caster now to 1v2 without Crisp getting here nearby. On an Elka, on the roam as a flash over the wall, but Shun isn't in threat. The flay will work, but the abscond of Duck there. Shun comes in for a Sonic Wave. Weibo Gaming are asleep at the wheel.
What is happening in mid lane and jungle from Weibo? This is Caster, this is Xiaohu. Internationally renowned LPL legends, but they're being picked apart at the seams by Shun and Yagao, and we have to start talking about, is this the real start of the playoffs buff from Yagao? Had an incredible series versus RNG, coming out with some powerful games in this series as it comes through it. Yagao reigning champion from JDG, lest we forget that, and he is absolutely tearing apart this Jace and Maokai with the early fighting potential of this Silas. And Weibo are caught, as you said, asleep at the wheel.
I mean, Chris roams up and he's like, well, I've got nowhere to go. I mean, Nymera, this is the thing. Weibo as a team, they just don't back down, right? I can't remember who, was it when we were talking about, was it TT or, I'm not sure. There was a team you and I were talking about late into the season that doesn't really give up objectives, doesn't really back down. Maybe it was Kitty who was also saying the same thing. Could
I think
have been
it was
like
OMG.
RNG.
Gonna throw that one out there.
Oh, it probably was, yeah. Again, there's a lot of teams in the LPL that do that, but I think for Weibo, they've shown us here in this series so far, they're just not willing to give up a play or call it quits.
I think that has been something which a lot of LPL teams have had to go through their discovery of. Hell, even looking at how Top Esports played just before they were eliminated by OMG, they were one of the few teams in the LPL that actually started to play with a bit more reservation until those Barons started to come up. We have Caster heading towards topside as we're talking about this, but Yagao does have his hijack available once again and is hovering around in this bot river. Yagao, whenever he gets ahead on something like this, Silas gets onto the map, gets his point of power early. He's also not a player of the Silas that goes for Rod of Ages. He goes for the Everfrost, and despite my problems with that item on a champion like Ari, on the Silas, it allows you to play through early power when maybe your Rod of Ages would be stacking up. It allows you to dive in and allow your Q2 pop to come through as well. And you can see he's building towards that again. Lost Chapter, Ruby Crystal, and Inventory. So as soon as that item is hit, BLG, wait for Yagao to turn on the afterburners and make some huge plays across his point of power.
But meanwhile on the map, just note that Castle is spotted out on the bottom side, so Shun just starts off this Herald. BLG were the ones who got the first Dragon off the misstep from Weibo as well, so this objective take is looking good as Castle Nymera is setting up to get this dive, but Hook doesn't land. Waves pushing up.
I don't know if this is a good idea. You've got level 6 from Elk, very bursty from the Zeri. They have to call this off. The cross map fails from Weibo. They can't do anything on this wave crash, so they lose Herald. The Shy does have Flash on top side. What can Shun do?
Oh, it's a kick flash. Sonic Wave lands as well. The Shy with the Slicing Maelstrom flashes into range. He'll get out for now. Shun trying to chase this up, but the Sonic Wave ain't in range with the minion wave, so flash for flash as the Herald setup's there, but Shun's just going to back off.
Yes, I mean, with the flash ult from Bin available, I was wondering if there would be a kind of continuation of that play from BLG. Yagao's not roaming up to the play. Maybe that could have changed things, and Caster, of course, because he called off that play bot side, is in position to respond top. So BLG not over-forcing and showing maybe a bit of that restraint, which Weibo haven't done in this series so far. Not like Weibo are getting any wins of their own, though, currently in this early game.
No, but the Shy, I'm just worried about what's happening in the top side here. Bin, a bit of damage done here with the poke out. CS looks like it's in the Shy's favor, but now no flash here, with Bin still having his own. BLG, they've got a 1k gold lead here in this early game, and Nymera, we did say the onus was on them more so this time, but I think this is a brilliant start yet again, when BLG seems to be holding all the cards for how this mid-game transition is going to go.
Hugely so. Now Weibo making some big inroads onto mid lane and these jungle entrances yet again. You can see multiple times in this series, Xiaohu gets push and Crisp and Caster are immediately in his lane. Do you think that Yagao, credit to him for soaking up that pressure, done a fine job of that. As it stands, 3-man unit. I don't know if they're going to spot them out. They are. Retreat from BLG.
On a cheeky ward outside the Dragon pit. A minute till the Dragon comes up. Looks like Weibo were looking for a potential pick-off or some kind of preparation for that as junglers are hovering on the bottom side. Meanwhile, Bin goes for the all-in. Doesn't get that Gnar against the wall, so the Shy will survive for another day.
Does. Just using it for the last of his Mega Gnar Rage Bar. Of course, Gnar is kind of at liberty to use that as poke when you see an opportunity come through. You're starting to build up a bit of magic resist. This early pressure from the Shy not going to be necessarily lasting beyond that point. On the other side of the map, where Hook lands.
Okay, Chris not going to take it though. Death Sentence and Solar Flare, rather Zenith Blade from On. Not followed up either. As Caster slowing down as no one's really pulled the trigger to take that all in. 3 members hover around here with Yagao also once again being the first man to move. Now with Everfrost, Nymera and the Gore Drinker, it's 15 seconds till Dragon and BLG have an item lead yet again.
They do. It's a point of power. As we said, early spiking item from the Sylas is not stacking up on the Rod of Ages. And this is one of the reasons Weibo can't pull the trigger. It's very scary for them if Yagao is just holding up above them. If they can steal that Maokai ult, which I believe is now off a cooldown internally on the Sylas hijack, that would be very, very powerful to cut off Weibo. As it stands right now, Xiaohu is first into the river, so that's a bit of a change from the last time a play was attempted.
He's come on in without his first item, but still a lot of core damage here. Sonic Wave not landing. Zenith Blade goes on to Chris. He plays out, flashes from the Solar Flare. Death Sentence in return is no return at all. Sonic Wave taken as Yagao takes away Nature's Grasp. So the AP here from Yagao gonna hurt a bit. And yet again, Weibo just unable to achieve anything. And for BLG, they've got the push in bot, Nymera, and Dragon just feels like it should be theirs for the taking.
Should be BLG. This has been a bit of a recurring theme for them as well. They do play these chess matches, fencing matches around these objectives, around the vision. They've had the conscience to not necessarily overforce. As it stands, Weibo, they're outside a river, looking maybe for a steal. They have the Lantern to try and get into the pit and look for the Lantern out. Herald going to be spawning mid, ult thrown out.
Caster's in the back of the pit at 1800. He's stuck there. Everfrost through. On jumps in onto Xiao, who's chasing a lot of trouble. Has to flash, and he's getting burnt down. Dragon goes down to BLG. And Summoner for Summoner trade, but a double Dragon. Mid looks like it's going down as well, Nymera, at least for the plates for Yagao. And once again, that chess match you talk about, Knight to E4.
It is, well, he's waiting a little bit later into the bracket, see if he comes to play with these Grandmasters, nay, challenges even. that are left on these rosters. So BLG, they win out in this tense kind of standoff on bot side. They are no strangers to that style of play. They walk away with their neutral objectives very much going in their favor. And looking at player gold, Shun with those kill participation, huge point of power. We do talk about Lee Sin as a champion that can fall off a little bit, but with so many squishy champions being able to burst out.
Hello. Flash Ennis plays. Solar Flare's going to come through as well. The Lightning Maelstrom's already come through, but the Shy just getting whittled down. Bin gets some help, and this is not a new experience for Mike Shytop.
Oh, it's not. And the Cannon counter pick, or rather the Cannon power pick, in a good matchup, which was countered, I suppose, by Bin, at least responded to, is just not working out. The early pressure, it's led to no plates, it's led to a tiny bit of CS, which is now going to be equalized up by the Nart, who's taking plates just before that timer falls off. Bin, 1v1 laner extraordinaire in the LPL, having another solid game considering the matchup.
And this just pushes BLG to that 1K once again, as Hexflash going to be used in a bad back. Oh my god. Crisp is smiling, but he was moments away from making another mistake.
You raised that top hat. That one was a bit of a clincher. Xiaohu, no flash in this mid lane now. Everfrost through the wave.
And again, Sonic Wave's ready to come through. Abscond Duck, the Kingslayer, the damage. The Shock Blaster's Blockcaster. A bit of a hero here as Sonic Wave's still going to be taken. On now joins in as there's a Bramble Smash. Xiaohu's still trying to get out of there. The Shy is helping out Xiaohu as well. It's Operation Save the President. And in fact, they're going to get on. Lights joined in. He's gotten excited. A play there. Maybe Weibo are playing wizard chess all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's got some extra dimensions in play. They summoned something from off the board. They've activated their trap card as BLG. They overplay in the similar kind of way that Weibo did when they had their advantages in game one. It was damn close though. Xiaohu, no flash, felt like that should have been the end of it. Maybe Shun could have flashed to secure that kill as Elk's recall is just completed. This is now going to be the Herald as well from Weibo. Big phase of play from them.
BLG were positioning like they could do something about it, but maybe that Super Mega Death Rocket means that absolutely not. So, as you said, it might be second Herald, but it's an injection of gold, Nymera. It's the potential to blow down some of these turrets, and I have to say that change in, I guess, dimensions of how they were playing, Weibo on a skin of their teeth, sometimes it works out like this.
Shun, big mistake. Sonic Wave goes onto a minion. That would very much have been a kill, and then he doesn't end up being able to flash into that kill because Caster comes in for the disengage. Bit of an awkward moment from Shun, who's on the whole has had a very clean playoffs run so far, despite one Wukong game which couldn't really impact the game. His aggressive early junglers have typically gotten him a lot of value. As soon as that mistake is made though, they can't really recover from that point. They're stuck in that fight, trying to recover something. Weibo walk away with a victory.
Bottom left, you can see that gentleman. He was a Weibo fan, but he was a little bit sus on the new feeling in this series, which was hope. You know, for Weibo, they might catch up a little bit in the gold.
Don't give me hope.
I mean, Nymera, the problem is we're still looking at a Jace that's been trailing Yagao and trailing Shun, right? We're still looking at BLG that have had control relatively throughout this game number 2. We have to remember that the strength you talked about is still there, and towards this next dragon, it'd be curious to see because it would be sole point for BLG if they can pick it up. But Weibo, what do they need to move into this objective?
Well, they need a certain summoner spell and a certain ultimate to be really, really impactful. That's going to be a cannon ultimate and a cannon flash. There is no exhaust on the side of BLG. What they do have is the ability to either kick the cannon out of the fight or to kind of flank around. As it stands, though, Yagao's the one that's making the first mistake. Has the flash to maybe get out of this ult.
He's going to use it in response. Yagao comes in, but the Twisted Advance finds his suit as Abscond Duck back in, the flash away. Zap doesn't hit him, the flash from past with the Bramble Smash. The all-in, they kill him, but it's the Death Rocket as well committed as Chris was in a bit of trouble with the Dark Passage to save his life. He doesn't get the flay in time. They jump into On, who's taking a lot of damage from this 1.5 item Jinx as Herald using the back end, but look, a Sonic Wave connects. Elk is trying to take this fight. The kick's there. On to Light, he dies. Elk flash commits as well. You don't mess with the Blind Monk and get away with it.
It is an absolute fist fight in the bot side as BLG pile on, and Bin in the 1v1 solo kills the Shy. This top lane matchup of international success, a world champion and a world finalist, goes the way of Bin. He takes out the trash and takes himself another kill.
And Elk to clean it all up again. Old man reliable, even though he's a lot younger than me. Mira, once again, watch this, because it took a lot to kill Yagao.
It did, because he just buys so much time. That extra ult kind of being able to be stolen alongside the Kingslayer. Early power again, as we said, allows him to, with his itemization, take out something from it. On the other side, as we said, the Shy losing the 1v1, which is not showing the picture. Going back a bit like with Yagao is caught out.
Oh, we scrapping. Oh, we scrapping again. Sonic Wave, rather safeguard over the wall on the death sentence there. Elk taking a lot of burst to Shy. Doesn't have the ulti. And Nymera, we didn't get to see in the replay how that cannon died, because he wasn't even involved. I think Bin solo killed him. Bin
It's actually not.
2-0.
Yeah, it's not like applicable for like broadcast at this point. Big fight in the mid lane.
Overstep, the play is messy, it's messy, it's messy, it's messy! But BLG cleaned it up. Oh, the maids are here. The Shy now trying to kill Elk, but he spaces back. And Weibo Gaming, they're getting Billy.
The maids are here, they're cleaning up, and it is a match made in heaven for this roster of BLG. Last year, they presented a dream roster. They presented a super team, and they couldn't make it work. Fast forward a year, BLG, they have another attempt. They put together some big names, but ones which maybe don't have the star power of the top teams of the LPL. But look just how coordinated they are. Look how they perform in these team fights. You wouldn't guess it.
This is an exquisite performance. Weibo fans must be eating their heart out right now, because with how close they're coming, BLG just always have the better counterpunches. Shun, he's been really good at separating these fights, Nymera, consistently, with Bin now apparently just taking names.
Shun, this guy, you know, he was the Kindred player, the aggressive carry jungler. And it's taken him a little while to kind of find that happy medium between, yes, having his own agency, but then also being able to kind of facilitate for all of these team fights as well. We've now got to the point where BLG are in a terrifying spot for Weibo, because Hullbreaker has been built up for Bin. They're already winning BLG in these grouped up fights as well. Weibo, we said that they wanted to be playing 3 5v5s, but I don't think they're necessarily winning that, especially since Elk, this player which, you know, quietly succeeds in every single game, it feels like, for BLG, is at 6-0-3, multiple items. This Zeri is once again a huge factor.
And again, Elk being reliable is a great sign, as BLG now grouping up towards this Baron. Weibo is so far behind that it's a 6,000 gold disadvantage with objective bounties up, with a soul in the Hex Tech form coming up here for BLG in 2.5 minutes. Everything's lining up perfectly, that Weibo now with their own jungle are losing control.
They are absolutely losing control, and BLG's carries are ready to go absolutely off the chain. Have you ever watched much Demon Slayer, Hysterics? Bit of a deep cut on this reference.
No,
but you know when
right.
we talk about Elk being super reliable, reminds me of a character who's basically a salaryman, and once he clocks out of work, that's when he goes a bit insane. Elk has done his 9 to 5 at this point.
Yeah.
He's done his work shift. He's ready to join a fight here as well. Ult comes out, but Elk is in the area. Weibo needs to be careful.
Listen, advances there, onto on. I mean, this is a Leona. The teacup comes out. A spotted tea and crumpet, says on, but Weibo Gaming, they're not going for that. I can say that because I've got British in my family history. At the
I'll
very
allow
least,
it just this once. I'll
drinking
allow it just
tea,
this once. You need to
and
apply for it each time, but yeah.
I do, actually. Just kind of like the visa, but hey, BLG don't care. They're sitting there chilling, having a cup of tea with Nana at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a good vibe.
Yeah, and Weibo, they had themselves a bit of a lead for a little bit of this game, it felt. As soon as they got themselves a look in around when BLG overstepped in that mid lane 2v2, that was their moment. Blink and you miss it, though. Weibo, they've taken another couple of bad fights. Again, it feels like those inhibitions, that angel on the shoulder has taken a bit of a vacation, because it's only those dastardly devil thoughts saying we must fight all the time, and they're not leading them to a victory at this point.
Oh, God! You know what? You can't call this player trash. This is a Bin. This is the Bin. The one that takes it all in and complains not. 5-0-1. Bin
okay,
now.
Another 1v1.
Here we go. Come
fight.
at me, bruh. Let's go. 15 versus 13. Xiao wants the shock blast, but he's about to go Mega now. You do not mess with Giga Bin.
This guy is just so powerful once he has this Hullbreaker. Weibo, they picked this cannon to be a strong individual laner, to be a teamfight menace, and he's been able to achieve basically none of that. This top lane matchup, we saw how it went against RNG. Bin got the advantage, Bin ran over the series. The Shy, he's looking probably towards game 3 now and thinking, what can I do which I couldn't do in the first 2?
because you're going to be on match point. It's going to require a reverse sweep at this point as Xiaohu teleports on Vision. They know he's there. Weibo haven't done their sweeping, and with Hextech Soul sitting up and available, they are struggling to get towards the river line, Nymira. With even the Shy, he's walking up into fog of war. No abscond duck, but Finn chasing him down. Auto. Even the house comes at him. The Shy left with no money, no hope, and Weibo Gaming are meant to be our 4th seed. But Billy want to make a return to the top 4 themselves.
It is, and in doing so, taking down a team potentially that has so many huge names on it, so much history to it. They have 4 international champions at points in their career on the other side of the rift, but you really wouldn't tell it from the way that BLG just don't care about the nameplates. They've been playing their own style of League of Legends, whatever it is in the draft that they put it through. They are versatile, they're powerful, and they're going once again for these 1v1s. Finn is not taking prisoners.
He doesn't care about anyone. Xiaohu, he's next up on the chopping block as the all-in from Weibo through mid lane is their last attempt, but BLG are not giving it to them. Look at the split here, Nymira. Look at the lane state. Bot shoved in, mid shoved in, top shoved in. Baron is now visionless. And BLG, after dotting the I's and crossing the T's, are ready to spell check Weibo again.
Ult into the enemy jungle, Marco out stolen.
Okay, they go for the all-in. Solar Flare used here. We're looking at Finn in the bottom corner, but it doesn't matter because the fight is ending here. Lights up next as he sits under the turret. He's trying onto On, but he goes golden in the nick of time. Should still be dying here as the Shy joins on in. Light's going to get a reset. Slash Maelstrom defensive as Shun still goes all in. Light is going to get a kill. Light Yagami tries, but you know he dies in the end. A triple kill over to Elk, or rather a double, but we all know that BLG are stomping their foot on the face of Weibo.
Light goes down as Weibo take the L in that fight. Death across the board. Take note, this is how BLG find themselves into victories again. It has been with the side lane advantage, who makes the game almost unplayable for Weibo. They've been given so many problems across the map. Do you answer bot lane? Do you go towards this Baron? They've given such a difficult choice because it feels like they have no tools to fight at this point. Yugao also holds off in the engage, doesn't just dive into this tunnel where potentially he can get burst out. And despite Light doing a fair amount of damage, it's just so far behind at this point. 10,000 gold and a Hextech Soul. BLG, what a macro performance in mid-game.
And remember, again, this series, the loser goes home. There is no second chance. MSI has given LPL 2 spots. And for BLG, if they can make their way to the next round, they get not only double elimination, but there is a 50% chance mathematically that BLG will be at MSI. Nymira, our top 4, 2 teams going through. That would be an insane return. As BLG, last time they made international wasn't even with the organization, it was with IMA as Finn. Hold on that historic. Crisp is coming over. Krugs are in the way. He's a level 17 Nah. I think he can 1v3 it. I honestly think Weibo would lose this.
That is a jungle and a support who have no damage to their name. Bin looking towards that 1v3 and saying, oh, this isn't fair. You're going to need more people, right? And that means that once again, BLG, they give the best of 2 bad situations to Weibo and say, what are you going to do? Give up the Baron and try and kill the side lane. They're going 5 people towards the Nah. All 5 of them.
Breaker, baby. There's a twisted advance to stun up. There's no damage just yet as everyone's on Bin. The Shy will pop the ulti. Bin's got the other 2 members of the family coming through. A Nah ulti there. He's still alive. Dodges shock blast. Flashes past. Rocket doesn't kill him. Mini Nah gets out. Gigabin!
Been there, done that, got the t-shirt and made it out alive. This Nah is so infuriating. BLG are one of the most accomplished 1-3-1 split push side lane teams in the LPL, and Weibo have no options against it.
And now onto the base on Death's Door as Weibo chased down. They have to reverse sweep from now because BLG are knocking on the door of a game number 2 win. That's a beautiful ult from Yagao as well. The AP hurts, the damage hurt from everyone. It's a swift breeze to knock over Weibo, and BLG coming through as the 5th seed. After knocking down RNG, they look in prime position to take another member down in Weibo Gaming.
It is so exciting to see Billy Gaming play games like this. playing that side lane style, playing towards pressure on one side of the map and then responding with objectives on the other. It's not as easy as it looks. It looks so good because you have players of individual skill like Bin and like, you know, the initiating players of Shun and Yagao in that game as well, with Elk also playing his part. The reason that this looks so easy is because they are so good at League of Legends. And Weibo, you know, they're now at the point, backs against the wall. Xiaohu looking down the barrel of a, you know, potentially a 0-3 where he wouldn't be able to defend his MSI title. This is a huge moment for both of these organizations.
I mean, it's huge that he can't defend his MSI title if they lose the next game or any other preceding games, right? But it's even bigger that Weibo, with, as you said, 4 international champions on one team that makes sense in theory and that has seen such highs, is getting smacked around by, I think it's kind of the misfits put together, right? Like, Yagao dropped from JDG, Elk away from his time on WE and Ultra Prime. We have On, who is looked at as a mediocre support from Suning in the past. We had Bin, who was the only member left there, but again, was the trade deal that didn't really work out when it was the Uzi year. And then we have Shun, who has been a carry on IG, but also quite inexcusable.
He is the
with some of his
double-edged sword in the very truest meaning of it.
I mean, that's the thing. BLG look like pushovers in the roster, but are performing completely opposite to that. And Weibo are the ones who are really struggling to put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, again, BLG, more than the sum of their parts. That's something that Weibo would have really wished to have with this roster as well. But it feels like BLG, they look at that and they say, look, we are you, but better at this point. We are versatile. We have the top lane carry. We have this mastermind mid. Yagao in playoffs form. Cannot forget his his contributions to this team as well. It's really hard to kind of point a finger at one person on BLG and say that, you know, you're kind of the weak link or something like this, because they're all performing their roles really well. Even On, MVP of Game 1. Elk, huge kill participation again, and has a huge amount of damage just by 5 damage, out-damaging Bin across that game. BLG, a comprehensive performance about how all of these players add to the greater whole of BLG, playing a very balanced map state to force Weibo into bad decisions.
Again, it's just, it's the comfortability to do so. It's BLG bringing everything together to do so, and I just can't believe how reliable they've been so far. Not only Bin, not only Shun, like Yagao in that early game, really pristine setup with Shun, and then Elk, just someone who you know is going to carry on this area. Namira, I think there needs to be change from Weibo, but I'm struggling to see what direction do you change it in? What do you look at? Like, what is the plan here for this team?
They tried to change. They gave the Shy the cannon, they picked up that Jace, they thought, hey, these are 2 pushing priority laners with, actually, across the entire team, great ability to 5v5. Those 5v5s do not matter if you are that far behind, especially when you're losing these side lane matchups. I think this top lane matchup is going to be, again, another sticking point. I wonder if Weibo need to switch over to red side and use a counter pick. Use some of these expanded champion pools. We're seeing a lot of comfort picks being picked up from Weibo with stuff like that, the Cassante in Game 1. You've got to flex those champion pools. I think you've got to get yourself a solo lane counter pick.
Oh, God, again, because if they want to reverse sweep this, then there's got to be some kind of flexibility, some change in draft. I think overall, folks, if you're a Weibo fan right now, you are up the creek without a paddle. We're going to see if Weibo can find you that paddle coming up for game number 3, where no holds barred. It's a reverse sweep, but it's match point for BLG.
It does not matter whether you clone or not. Xingtian looking for an all-in onto Cream at the top side. Spirit Rush is available. Can't push the ulti though, and he just autos him down.
Hey, both coming in.
TPs from both solo laners as they know they need to be here. Weibo's back and
oh!
the play. Rookie's on the back line. Hanging down what? Instant triple for Rookie. The man of the century in this fight. Care has to go huge. Still surviving. Has a shield over the wall looking for Jackal. He gets one for himself. Wayward chasing down the Cassidin. They've done enough to get themselves the Drake.
And that's a lot of Magic Pen as well as you look at his angle. Level 18, they're hitting the barometer, turning to fight the all-ins there. A good all-in stun, but now IG have to be wary of Yagao. They haven't killed anyone yet. IG, as you said, Lyric, got to be scared of the damage as Han jumps forward, but he's chasing The Event Horizon saves his life as on to Shun. Hang on, a Felios moment. No way, it's happening again. On, run for your life. Yagao there as well as Elk is the only hope of taking him down. Gravitum is there with Calibrum too, but Arn's going to heal us back up with the BT. On needs a beautiful hit onto Arn through the gap close. Hook. Event Horizon saves his day. Elk's going to be rooted up. There's a double with Renan. Arn's still alive as Blue Buff is saving his life. Arn's going to die onto Elk. The range is there. They kill each other. That's my LPL.
He is having a hell of a game for himself, and now Death Cap in pocket. They've maybe found a big Shadow, pulls Wayward back. The bubble lands though. It's Shadow who's gone too deep. LWX forced to flash out of the play. Back in the retreat as well. Here goes Rookie onto the back line, into the Shroud. He's 1 HP, but he's looking for LWX before he goes down. The Shuriken, no! Cut down, gun down! In midair, Care knocked up, and Wayward slams him. Care down! Dragging him onto LWX, but this is Zeri in the late game. He's turning it around. LWX hammered into the floor by Wayward, who turns out to be the hero in the end. So crucial. Azaki, the target, knocked up, taken down. No smites when you've got no jungler. As Rookie. Oh,
Jackie's dead.
Shanji turns it around. Abel still alive as Rookie finishes him off, flashing forwards to make the hero play. Dodges the knockup, uses his clone, somehow dashes back out of the play, blocking, and Mark saves his mid laner. Absolute heroics from Rookie.
Can you take my bad side? Bad side. Once you see my bad side. Bad side. No, it ain't picture perfect. Don't push me, it's not worth it. You don't wanna see my bad side. Can you take my bad side? Bad side. Once you see my bad side. Bad side. No, it ain't picture perfect. Don't push me, it's not worth it. You don't wanna see my bad side. I'm far from your ordinary lover. I'm different from any other you've ever had before. So you must have me mixed up. You must have messed up. You won't make that mistake no more. Or I might just lose it. I might just lose control. You might just push me far enough for me to let go. No, you don't want to see the monster inside of me, 'cause it might be a bit too much to handle. Can you take my bad side? Bad side. Once you see my bad side. Bad side. No, it ain't picture perfect. Don't push me, it's not worth it. You don't wanna see my bad side. Can you take my bad side? Bad side. Once you see my bad side. Bad side. No, it ain't picture perfect. Don't push me, it's not worth it. You don't wanna see my bad side. I may be more patient than the others. I tolerate the stress and all the mess and all the headache you bring. But listen to me, you'd rather have my good side than a dedicated enemy. 'Cause I might just lose it. I might just lose control. You might just push me far enough for me to let go. You don't want to see the monster inside of me, 'cause it might be a bit too much to handle. Can you take my bad side? Bad side. Once you see my bad side. Bad side. No, it ain't picture perfect. Don't push me, it's not worth it. You don't wanna see my bad side.
my own excuses. Where does it begin? Where do I fit in? Will someone let me into this story? In my history, I am the absentee. Where's the part for me in this story? But the colors rule the world inside my head, and the words of all the songs that I've heard. I'm a shadow of a thought that has not formed, somewhere in between.
这次就在面对 WBG 择赛选手的话，我肯定是想去打爆他的，因为我常规赛也被他单杀过，所以我这次肯定要找回场子，而且我们不仅要赢，也要赢得非常的干净利落。面对 WBG， 我们肯定是抱着必胜的决心去打他们的。然后择赛选手，对不起，这次我肯定要打爆你。我们现在已经赢了一个 BO5 嘛，所以说我们只需要再赢4个 BO5， 可能我们就去伦敦了，所以就赢下去吧，没有什么好说的。
All I can say is, wow. Bin with a bit of shade. No, Mira, I got a bit of static on the mic, I can see. But hey, Bin getting... what did you say to me in that break as BLG won? MVP is who?
It is, it's not Bin. It's Elk who walks away with that MVP for Game 2 on that huge kill participation, rather, from the Zeri. And you know what? Every so often, you gotta throw something this guy's way, because look at the damage, look at the kill participation. It feels like it's a two-part job, right? Where you have so much pressure coming in from one side of the map on Bin, taking up that side lane pressure, that it forces Weibo into awkward fights where Elk can clean up. Now, I think that Bin had a great game. I really think we should start shouting that more as well, but Elk cannot forget to praise this AD carry of BLG. And yeah, I mean, now this kind of brings up some extra questions as well, because we have talked about, in regards to a lot of our drafts, in terms of, we've talked about the cannon. It wasn't really there in Game 1, and Weibo, they picked it up for Game 2, and it didn't really work out as well for them as we potentially would have liked. But this Zeri has been a big fixture across the globe, but when you have players like Elk, Light, of course Gala in the last series as well was a really big player of that. And later in, we'll get players like Ruler, Leave, kind of putting on their Zeri shoes as well. A lot of teams are going to have to start wondering whether you have to give this pick some extra value as well. We haven't seen a big amount of changes in the bans from a lot of our series so far. This is one of those champions which you have to feel, because it can clean up so easily once you start winning a fight. Even look at this one, right? He kind of hops over a wall, gets the move speed running. How do you win a fight after that point? You got to start wondering, do we have to let this thing through?
I think the answer is no, right? Unless Weibo are willing to pick it themselves. Like, we know Light has a versatility of 80 carries of champion pool, but overall, let's be real. This pick, along with, I'd say, you know, like flipping top lane matchup, or maybe not getting something as confident, maybe the pick order here from Weibo Nymera, has a big impact on what's going on in these games. And I'd also say it doesn't fully matter either, because, you know, even that time, the cannon didn't work out in the lane. Like, the Jace didn't get to play his range. You know, Xiaohu overstepping. I think Weibo today, just a bit of a bad day so far, and it's something that's a little bit disappointing. But hey, for BLG, now on match point, a 2-0 start is better than we could have ever expected.
And BLG going from strength to strength. I think now in terms of adaptation from Weibo, probably I think they should try out a red side draft. I think that you can't rely on the Shy blind pick a matchup in top side. We've seen that with the Cannon not work out, the Cassante not work out as well. Bin has a large enough champion pool and definitely the hands and the form today to play through counter pick matchups, regardless of where that is in the draft. I think on red side, maybe you can pick up something even like an Annie pick to just say, look, we can flex that between mid lane and support. We know that Xiao, who has played a number of games on that champion, just give them some flexibility rather than just kind of opting into letting BLG being the team that can flex around and use their larger champion pools.
Maybe give themselves like bot early and do what the rest of the teams do. I mean, I didn't hear side selection here, Nymera, but for Weibo, and when you're playing with people like the Shy and Xiaohu, I would assume red side is something that plays towards your strength, right? I know in the regular season, Weibo played more blue, but red was something as well that they also flourished on. It was quite even in that regard. So I'm kind of curious to see what happens here, because going into game 3, like backs against the wall, I don't know if Weibo have it in him. I'm going to be quite honest. I don't know if this really feels like a game 5 or even a game 4 at this point.
I'm wondering that myself, because how do you break the momentum, the winning streak now? Because BLG only lost their very first game against RNG. They've now taken 3 wins there, 2 wins against Weibo. They're on a 5-game win streak. So you have to break that kind of confidence. It's a thing which is kind of noted again about a lot of traditional sports as well. Once you start hitting those winning streaks, you start to get into those motions of what you need to do to win. It's just very second nature at that point, the things where you kind of get these better instincts about what fights you should be taking and which ones you shouldn't. And as we've clearly seen in that last game particularly, and even in that first game after Xiao, who got his double kill and then couldn't play out that lead, it feels like Weibo, those instincts are not on point yet. They're taking fights which they're absolutely losing. And yes, BLG, they overplayed that one fight in mid-jungle, but that's been one blemish on what has otherwise been a very clean playoffs run so far.
And that was still Weibo getting caught out. It was just the fact that they managed to outplay
just
it,
luckily
right?
worked out, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's still their problem, man. It's still their problem. And, I feel like Weibo need to chill out, take a step back, have a sip of tea, chill out, and honestly, just regain that confidence, not only between mid-jungle, but also, playing towards topside. I feel like we've talked a lot about Light and Chris being quite solid and consistent throughout this split, and even throughout these 2 games, they have been to some regard. But I don't know, man. It hasn't been enough to lean on, and through the solo lanes,
just take a snapshot right now, everyone watching at home, and just title it just like 2 casters try and just lose their minds over figuring out how the heck you go through this series 2023 colorized. It's not the most intuitive title, but it's pretty much what we've got to deal with, because this series has really taken a turn for the worse for Weibo because they can't deal with this topside. If you could, in an ideal world, hold Bin to account, make sure that his matchups, maybe they get an individual advantage, but they don't impact the team fights. They don't impact the game. We saw that in Game 1 versus RNG when Breathe kind of nullified the Gwen matchup and just said, well, that's okay, we'll just win team fights because Gala was getting ahead on the other side of the map. That would be great, because in this game, you could just say, let's just give all of our resources over to Light while the Shy just kind of sits there and just loses individually but wins in the team fights. That hasn't happened this series. I think you have to try and put something more into Bin early into the game, because as we've seen, once he gets individual advantages, he can take on 5 whole enemy team members and walk away alive.
Again, Bin just showing how catastrophic he can be. Folks, game 3 coming up. It's match point for BLG. Let's see what changes. Weibo do go to the red side, so Nymera, my rantings weren't for nothing as Zeri gets banned away.
Here we go. Here are the changes.
That's a start.
But Vi left open. Very dangerous. We might see that as a first pick coming through. That's the first time that we've seen that be allowed through the bans in this series so far. It allows you to play a lot of aggressive mid-jungle combinations, which we've seen be the key to a lot of the meta so far. Even really trumping stuff like the Lee Sin, which is still available. We've got Lee Sin, we've got Wukong on the other side. What is Caster feeling on that side? We might see ourselves we can see Syndra, we can see Ahri, we can see Talia, we can see Veigar comboed up from Yigao for that kind of Vi combo. On the other side, we have talked about the power of Annie being strong in mid-jungle 2v2, being strong in the support role. You can lock this in maybe with something like a Lee Sin as well and threaten strong mid-jungle 2v2, but just having this for your flex pick on red side allows you some of that ability to just consider your champion pools a bit more, as we've been asking for from Weibo.
As Viego gets locked in, this was the ban from Weibo, 2 games in a row on the blue side, so they obviously want to play a very different styles, but BLG, no Zeri up and available. Let's see what they do, Nymera, because already trying to flex around with their potential AD carry / mid options if we're looking at the Tristana. And Elk is someone, again, with old Mr. Reliable. you expect nothing less than something like the Aphelios that he's never died on this entire split.
Undefined KDA, incredible player of the champion. We've got the Thresh Phalios coming out from BLG's bot lane. Elk in the series versus RNG showed off some really beautiful mechanics on the champion as well. We've seen both him and Abel from OMG pull out some of the 3 and 4 weapon switches where you run your ammunition down low, switch over with a cast of ability, and then change over to another more suitable weapon combination in the fight. So we'll have to be aware of that from Weibo if they choose to take the fight to him early. He's shown some great form on this champion recently.
That Weibo fan, I could swear she was crying as well, seeing the Cassante maybe locked in. I think Weibo fans, at this point, would be more than crying. Nymira, I have to correct myself. In playoffs, of course, Elk already has played 2 games. He has died on the Aphelios, but during the regular season, Deathless still stands. But still, a good champion for Elk historically as well. As for Weibo, they're trying to give a bit more comfortability to the Shy here on this Cassante top. Gwen taken away, which been piloted in game 1.
So trying to take away some of those counter pick matchups can come in from Bin, but the Bin just has such a large champion pool. What are you going to do with this top lane matchup? Feels like even if you get rid of some of his primary champions, he'll have something else to bring to bear. Now, of course, you can take away something like that Jax as well. Of course, that will be a ban there. Cannon up and available. It's not necessarily the best thing into the Cassante individually. We've seen some different Cannon builds come out. If we want to see some more sidelining, seen some Conqueror with Heart Steel. There is some weird tech out there, folks, but have to see what Bin chooses first and foremost. I would expect the AD carry to come in here from Weibo to preserve that Annie being flexed between mid and support, but maybe choose that a little later. It's actually not going to be that flex. Last pick AD carry. How often do you see that?
Not often, right? And especially for someone like Light. I mean, I already know what they're going into the bottom lane, but that Nautilus is going to be coming through anyway. And especially for Chris, he's been a pretty big Nautilus, Leona. We saw the Thresh earlier on as well. These have been some of his highlights, but today just hasn't been there with some of the engages. Let's see if the Nautilus changes that. As for BLG, you already mentioned Cannon, not strictly something we talk about up in the top side. Or won't be anyway just yet, as Yagal picks up his Veigar. This is how he ended against RNG as well, at least one of the games. Mira, BLG are just going back to comfort, and after playing a game on this top, look at this stone cold killer, ready to handle this dinosaur. Maybe for a last time. Oh, don't flex it. Don't flex the pentakill Fiora. That's a bit of hope. I mean, having said that, that would be exciting. But Cannon in the end, all right.
The thing is, right, this is the difficulty of drafting against Billy Gaming in this current iteration. You see all of those hovers. All of them are suitable picks. It's just what they're feeling at the moment. They go towards that Cannon. As we said, there's some build diversity. There is the chance that this is not full AP burst. When you do have the Varus and the Annie to burst out, of course it is valuable. It's double AP CC solo lanes from BLG, so expect a load of Mercury's treads to come out from Weibo where appropriate. Lots of combos for BLG to play towards, and Weibo, short-range team on the whole. You've got the Viego, the Cassante, and the Nautilus who, if they don't pick their angle well, if they go too deep, there is a cage, there are hooks, there's the Gravitum route, and of course Cannon and Vi adding to the CC combo. Weibo, they will need to be so clean when it comes to team fighting, which they haven't done in the series so far, but that's their challenge at the brink.
Otherwise, they'll get 3-0'd. BLG have come into today as, frankly, underdogs because of seeding. And the fact that Weibo started in round 3, a lot of people talking about this team, and I mean, myself, Lyric, I think Asheen as well. We predicted quite a big stomp from Weibo Gaming today. But so far, BLG have been the ones stomping them. Not only have they come through the RNG series fully primed and charged, BLG have come into this series continuing that momentum, continuing that style of play. Shun has been out jungling Casa. Bin has been out topping the Shy. Yagao has been solid and out-midding Xiaohu. And the bottom lane has been out doing Light and Crisp everywhere. Feels like an individual diff that makes a team diff, that makes a team that's now on match point. Billy Gaming only ever reached this point in their careers once before. It was in 2019's summer where they got 3-0'd by top esports in the top 4 position. It was a very different format, a very different time in the league. But this, if they can win this series, would be the second time in their history that they make the top 4. And it would give them a 50% chance of making MSI.
History rolling back the years.
reverse sweep.
It's a heck of a task. Such a task ahead of them. It does feel like the years are starting to get rolled back. OMG making their highest finish, even though their run hasn't even ended yet in years. I think it was 2017 since they've reached the heights which they've done before. Across other regions, KT Rolster achieving similar in the LCK. Feels like there's a bit of a wind of change to earlier seasons coming in. See how this one ends. Weibo, one last chance at it.
With all the experience on the roster, you expect a lot. There's the flash stretch line. Elk is down a flash. That's an explosive way to start, but a positive one for WBG.
Okay, so Hex Flash there for Crisp. Of course, if you get push control, you can sit in there, try and look for a flash auto, flash hook. Gives you some ability to play through some of that playmaking. With Casa on early damage, Viego can, of course, help with that scenario as well. So, Weibo, they haven't really managed to blow open bot side in this series just yet, partly because they've been falling apart throughout other parts of the map, but they're looking, again, really using this Nautilus level 1.
They're going to be spotted out by Yagao, though. Gets a little bit of a stack of the Dark Matter, too. Or rather, the Primordial Evil. So, for Yagao, that spot out was crucial to stopping Weibo. They drop a ward on their way out, but go back to normality. And Shun is starting on the other side of the map. With that information from Yagao, BLG, just a massive 5-head start here for their jungler.
It is. So it's a better sign for Weibo that we have seen for quite some time. Definitely not in this series have they had the cleanest early games. Got those runes flashing up on screen. It is going to be the Aerie on Bin, so it's not going to be something like a Conqueror for crazy side laning potential, or something like a Riftmaker Cosmic Drive. Don't think we're going to be seeing something like a Heartsteel either, which, yes, we have seen that in pro play. It's just going to be AP Burst and Bin trying to lend himself towards those 5v5 scenarios.
And again, in a comfortable lane where Bin has been great, whether the lane matchup's been against him or not. Shun's played paid quite a lot of attention up there too, as we are looking towards Casa on this bottom side. Now, picture in picture, did Wolves reset? No.
I think what they're doing this for is they're saying, he's level 3. There's no flash on the AD carry. He's on the bot side of the map. Let's see what he can do here. See Bin.
Spotted though.
Spotted, yeah. On that ward across that river. So Crisp misses that hook in that bot side, makes things a little bit awkward, and now BLG, for once, having to deal with aggressive early game from Weibo.
Red line does come in. Speak of aggression, there it is. The 2v2 begins yet again as Elk just starts spinning away. Good little trade there, as well as Light moves down to almost half HP off the back of it too. But they'll still have dominance here as Castle's doing the red buff. Needs to smite this away. Without smite range, and Shun, he gets it. It was very close, but Casa, who's trying to build this bridge into a successful game, is slightly denied by Shun again.
What's he going to do here? Is he going to flash over? He's positioning as though he wants to flash over. I was wondering if there was going to be some even stranger things to happen. Not to be the case at this point, just looking for that. The Scar reward over the Tribrush, gets some vision at that point. And Shun, been deprived of a number of camps. Heading into the river again. His bot lane does not have priority. He needs to be very careful when kind of fishing around these jungle entrances. Now just going to cross over mid, help Yagao get control of that lane. Maybe he can buy his mid laner a reset.
And for Casa, they're actually going to turn into a little bit more. Yagao is now between this pivot and river. He's got flash available, but Crisp and Casa quite a bit away. Yagao playing towards his jungler. Casa, after he's been spotted out, it looks like he won't be able to get too much done. It's a scuttle trade here with Shun making his way up there. Meanwhile, look at top side. I mean, look, the Shy, he's going to be down quite a bit of CS, and Nymira, you know where this is going.
There is a chance that there was a flash Q on the turret, but especially with W unlocked from K'Sante with that damage reduction, makes it a little bit hard to pull that one off. So, as it stands, Karsa getting the edge in the early jungle matchup. Lanes have not really felt the impact of this quite so far, despite, or rather, only really Yagao, who has done something else there. Xiaohu teleporting into this bot lane. He has flash, he has his stun charged up, and there's a wave here. Elk has no flash, has no cleanse, and flash rather.
Line. On does flash away. There's a Dreadlon that comes through already in the pass. There's the flash from Light. They want to get this kill. They use everything and the kitchen sink, and it works out. Elk at the range here in the end. Won't hit Light, but for Xiaohu, that was a stretch, but it must have felt good.
Oh my word, I was just sitting there wondering about the summoner spells, who's the target. Elk had the cleanse, had no flash, but he also has no heal, so he can't save on. And despite the flash being there from the Thresh, it is not enough to save his life, and now Yagao is the one He's teleported down towards his bot lane to help his wave in his bot lane as lane gets shoved in. So Elk not going to be the one to die. It's going to be Xiaohu which picks up the kill on the other side with this Annie, which does have such good point and click CC. Flash away, but the point and click's already on point. The damage is done. You can't cleanse off an ignite from a teammate, despite the Lantern Shield being there. Weibo have enough damage to get themselves first blood of this all-important game for them. Does mean, though, that with the resets afterwards, Dragon gets taken from BLG.
To say, I mean, for BLG, that is a plus, right? You know, we haven't talked too much about the comps here, but I see Felios, I see Vega. I see a lot of scaling coming through Nymera, and again, with Finn and how he's going to play this game, it does feel like for BLG, getting some of these objectives stacking up early, especially when it's Chemtech Dragon to start us off. This feels like the value in BLG is still there, despite that first blood going over to the mid lane in Xiaohu.
So, of course, Weibo not going to turn down that early gold at all, even if they give up the objectives for it. I think in this game, they can't really afford to lose kind of fighting prowess if they fall behind in combat stats. It feels like BLG, with all of their teamfight CC and the ability to kind of invite Weibo into them and burst them down, be very dangerous for them. Yagao getting it out onto the map. Shai might have to blow his flash at this point. Finn maybe goes forward with the ult.
Yeah, there's a slicing maelstrom. He's already flashed, as you said. The nuke comes in, though. Yagao launches everything in the kitchen sink, and Finn gets the kill.
Yagao's playing this Vega as though it's a LeBlanc. How the heck does he get out to that top lane to get that kill so easily? The Shy, he did pretty okay with the early lane, at least this one time. He took some bad trades, but we thought it was kind of going to be okay. At least soak that matchup. Now losing another wave into turret. If that wave had evened out, that CS difference wouldn't look nearly as bad. He's lost his flash. He's lost his wave to that turret and lost his life.
All of it.
Once again, we have ourselves a top diff starting to build.
I mean, it's rough, though, isn't it? Because the Shy getting ganked consistently as that death sentence was not great. Redline going to come through. In a 2v2 in the bottom lane, who wins this? As Light going to be going forward, but Elk has got himself so many shurikens. You can't stop that with your quiver. As the Dark Passage taken, Carson now with a flash on in as well. Heartbreaker, Showmaker, Staymaker as Elk just runs back to the turret. He's still alive. There's a reset there for Casa, but Elk's already out of there. A response from Weibo, but it took a lot to get the show going.
It did, but at least they get something. 2 kills onto On's Thresh at this point. When On has been comfortable in a game, starts to really fly off the handle and make big plays. At least keeping him down is something. It's even in gold. There is some gold onto Casa's Viego. Casa had a quiet series so far. It's a 3-up and switch from Elk again. So Infernum, when you pull that across the wave, gives you a lot of chakrams. Uses the Onslaught of the Severum. Look how many chakrams he has stacked up. Honestly, Chris just should never pull that hook at that point. This is the strongest point in power for Nephelios once he kind of goes from the AoE of the Infernum kind of to stack up the chakrams so quickly. Very lucky to at least have Casa in the back pocket to clean things up, but that was a very misjudged hook.
Oh, speaking of which, Chris, dude, what is he doing? I'm not sure. We don't have context on that one, but so far this game number 3, Crisp has just been all over the place.
It's going to be a Herald gone as well for all of the early game praise we've given Weibo. Giving over that Herald, that's dangerous because suddenly you can make a big power play with that Herald in whatever lane you should wish at that point. You've got to assume that probably be heading in towards the Felios if you had the choice, but even someone like Bin, if you can build up a side lane advantage, we've seen how well he can play through that one. So I assume that Weibo, they moved up towards that Herald, tried to make a play around mid-jungle, move up into that top river, and Crips kind of gets caught out before he can really get into a safe spot. As it stands now, though, Casa, he's at least here to contest the scuttle, but Weibo swing and a miss around that Herald.
Again, with the Herald going down, we'll see where it gets placed in Nymera at the very least. We're going to talk about topside, though. All out going to be used. Okay. The Shy onto Bin. Now there's the slicing Maelstrom. The all in, the all out. Wants revenge. This series been all about Bin, but Casa comes in. Finally! That's what jungle attention looks like at the top side for the man, the myth, the legend, the Shy. Not going to get the kill, but Casa is now evolved.
That is an important kill. It stops Bin just slowly accruing this advantage over time. That CS advantage we were getting a bit worried about after the kill topside, basically nullified. You're getting a little bit of magic resist in for the Cassante as well at this point. This is going to be probably that Proto Belt teamfight burst cannon. It's not about extended damage in side lanes. At that point, maybe the Shy can say, I can just soak this lane, and for once, you don't have to worry about Bin on the side lane. Don't know if that's going to be enough to see Weibo through to strong team fights themselves. They have a lot to worry about on the side of BLG when it comes to that point, but it's something.
But it is something, right? And at least we can start talking about a man who we don't normally talk about in this prime position to carry. With a Viego 2-0 start, with Divine Thunder here, Nightmare already picked up, we have strength. Now, as this ward gets cleared away, he has been unspotted moving towards this dragon. As he moves to Fog of War, 10 seconds to go, so you know that there should be a tension bot here. Weibo are just looking for that pick-off again that gives him more leverage.
His Karsa, he's kind of going to be the person looking to make the knockout blow, especially with something like a Varus Arrow adding into that equation too. If Weibo finds CC, BLG do need to be careful at that point. If Weibo get first into the river, they have pick combos. Speaking of those pick combos, Shun in this fight, been a little bit quiet. Haven't really managed to achieve that much on what is one of the highest priority junglers across the world in the meta right now. It has been comboed up with so many different champions to give guaranteed kill combos. He's now heading towards this top side to put the hurt down on the Shy again, who just, again, wishes that teammates didn't exist when they come into his lane.
He's
he had the one positive look at it, but he's decided like, oh, what do you mean he gets a Herald in his lane? Why don't I get one of those? That's going to be 3 plates going down to the side of Bin and Shun.
It's a turret. I think it might be the turret as well. I mean, it's so low already. BLG, correct myself. It is, as you said, 3 plates, but not the turret in total. Wave is going to be cleared away, but yeah, a reality check for the Shy once again as Weibo try and group up to the bottom side. It's a singular plate here for Light and Crisp as Haas is hovering nearby, but is spotted on a ward. BLG have full information, and Yagao just playing Fog of War himself to make sure that it doesn't go any further. So a net win here for BLG with that Herald. Nightmare, gold is dead even, or at least back 2.
So Weibo, at least they get themselves some plates, as you were saying, down towards that bot lane. They're looking for a fight. Not assault.
Charge cast coming through. He flashes Heartbreakers in, but the Dark Passage saves the day. The arrow ignites. Okay, Crisp, I will shut up, I promise you. As Bin's coming in with a flash himself. That ulti's going to be massive. Karsa is the target here. He's about to die. He gets nuked. The flash ulti from Yagao. Vega presses and everybody stops. The Shun flashes. He wants that little cease and desist, but lights out of range. A bit of a mistake here, but BLG will still profit off of Karsa's death.
Yeah, he's got the spirit at least, as Shun trying to pick off another kill in that one fight. The Shy is left alone with this top side, but Bin, huge value out of the 2 kills in the cleanup. It's an even trade, I suppose, with all things said and done. Yagao going to get himself one last plate on this bot side. As 13 minutes ticks over, only 1 last minute on those plates. I'm not really sure we're going to go see any more of those taken across the board. It's an even-ish early game, which we haven't seen, really, from the first 2 games. It has felt like BLG have found advantages somewhere or another across the maps. This is still an improvement for Weibo, but they have needed to improve, and they are still not out of the woods yet.
And so let's look at where that improvement needs to come from, right? Jungle, we already know is quite good. As I'm going to hold my tone, because top lane is getting a little bit dicey. Bin, will he find himself knocked back? Protobelt out of the way. As, okay, BLG are hovering again, so the Shy just has to make it out of dodge. Karsa's red buff's going to be threatened. There's cease and desist.
No ult.
We didn't see before. On, he flashed for that hook. Beautiful stuff from the support. With 4 out of 6 kill participation. Now that pick onto the jungler. BLG have topside control, but Xiaohu and Crisp thinking about...
They don't have an AD carry. This is really dangerous for them.
Oh, he gets out. Yeah, Xiaohu playing with fire, literally. But Weibo Gaming losing their jungler. Nymera, that's a bit before Herald spawns as well, so they've got a minute to set up.
Me too. So, Shun not going to be able to find a pick off in this mid lane, and at least that death timer is not closer to the objectives. That could have been very dangerous. But this is what we needed to see from the Vi, which we haven't really seen in this game so far. Comboing onto someone, kind of allowing other teammates to get that CC, just as Crisp did for his jungler at that point. This one was a shooting from the hip, though. Snipes down Elk, doesn't need any of his teammates CC to get that one on target. Gets the kill at least.
We look back to live, though. The Shy just got ganked again, and this turret, you know, should be going down. Turret play's gone down. The turret becomes so much squishier. And first, turret blood goes over to BLG for Weibo. Now looking for a response in River, but you can see BLG just get the turret, get out Nymera, and they're suddenly up 2,000 gold.
So Xiaohu is behind enemy lines here. They see the movements on.
Crisp is, but he flashes anyway. Gets a stun onto the enemy support. On is going to die. And the kill goes down to Light. Quick reset here in front of the Herald. And I said before, Weibo, Nymera looked like they lost it, but quick reset here. And Karsa's going to start it up.
Yeah, BLG lost their vision in their topside jungle. They couldn't retreat to their camps, which is what Shun was looking to do. There is no flash on Xiaohu at this point. Ults are available from Weibo. Are they still looking to fight? Yes, they are.
And look at Elf's gun. They pull the trigger straight away on the Shun.
Oh!
Bin's ulti. It electrifies him. Yagao nukes down. There's another one as well. Elf starts shurikening it up. Shun. Oh man, his death does not come in vain because BLG clean it up again.
Gives up his life for the cause. BLG. The storm crests over the horizon. It's been on the cannon. This is what Weibo could not do when they were faced with a top lane advantage. Because actually, you see the CS lead. You see what the Shy is doing in that top side. Doing pretty well in the individual matchup. But BLG keep their top lane relevant and give him entrances into these fights. They use a lot onto this one jungler, multiple ultimates, but that leaves them without these tools to really clean up the rest of the fight. Yagao singles down one target. You got single target damage coming in from Elk afterwards with Crescendum picked up. Yagao even gets the Herald, doesn't need a smite for that one. Comes into, now onto the rest of this map, almost at his second items. Weibo in the river again. They couldn't make the big picks before that last fight to win that Herald fight, and now they're without ultimates for this Dragon Spawn.
And look, even though BLG are losing some ultimates themselves, they got almost 2 items from some of these carries. We're looking at Yagao being yet again performing well. Weibo are happy to lose their mid turret while I'm chatting away here, but they're going to get Dragon because of a Nymera. 5 members
this is not a good trade.
Dragon is slow.
It's getting so slow. They're losing 2 turrets for this. Yes, you're stopping BLG getting towards more neutral objectives, but how do you expect to be able to play through the mid game and later on when you've got no mid lane turrets to help you put vision down in your jungle? It's so very important to have those structures to retreat to when you're fighting around your jungle entrances. BLG, if they want to play through pick combos like their cannon over a wall, like the Thresh, like the Vi, like the Veigar cages, this is such a big moment for them. And Weibo, I don't think they understand the implications of sticking on that dragon for so long.
Look, decision-making hasn't been their strong suit this series, Nymera. Let's be real, Weibo have been the worst team by far. BLG, right now, deserving of what looks to be a 3-0. In our round 3 of playoffs, I thought this one, if it was this close, well, sorry, it's not close. If it was closer, would be a potential game 5, would be back and forth between BLG and Weibo. I thought that today Weibo would come in looking like a stronger team, but they've obviously been sitting on the bench, and back to the bench is where they'll continue to sit by the looks of it. BLG 1 step away for the first time in 4 years in returning to the top 4. It would be such a momentous occasion, as you said, also denying Xiaohu from returning to the MSI.
Doing it with Tabe coming in as their coach as well. BLG coaching staff change mid-split, leading BLG to more stability in their back half of the split. Bin, he has his ult. He doesn't have a flash. That's a lot of members on top side.
Slicing out from his edge. Dredgeline comes through. It's pretty clean from Weibo in the end as Casa picks up the kill yet again. And Tibbers absorbs the rest of the damage. So a quick pick off the side. But Nymera, BLG are trying to find a pick themselves.
So Xiaohu has no HP. He can't still be at this fight. Shun, he does not want to fight.
Shades of Corruption over the wall. That's a double stun there as well. The poke through, but Chris doesn't take the engage instead. Weibo don't make it over the wall, and Chris has to flash away. It looked like a good punish of a messy play, but it became a messy punish of a good play.
Yeah, that one got a little bit weird. I think BLG, communication there is that, hey, Ben's dead, but he's done enough damage to make things awkward. Now, Weibo, they're sticking around on this top side. I don't know why they're sticking around for this long. Maybe waiting for Ben to teleport back to the waves so they can catch him off again. Or maybe Yagao, since he's in this lane. I don't think BLG spot this one out. Yagao has flash. What can he do here?
Okay, well, at the very least, hello. He does flash himself, as you said, depth charge. He's away the baby cage.
Oh, they can't get out.
It's a TP. BLG to put the finishing touches on this series. It could happen right here. Bin doesn't have the ulti, though. The Shy teleports in as well. Elk on the back line here. The cage is out yet again. Light poke not doing too much here as that broke down. A 5v5 that just happens to tear apart.
BLG are very, very sad they didn't have a cannon ultimate off of cooldown for that play. It was seconds away from catching Weibo in a very awkward spot. Zooming in on Crisp. on that Nautilus, wandering his way back out onto the map. But because they have reset BLG, they say, hey, we've got this chakrams on the FL.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible Baron damage. Let's see if we can force Weibo into us.
They need something here. They need a pick. They need a steal. Nymera, they need something. Otherwise, Weibo are going to get 3-0'd by BLG. And as Caster dies on the back end from the range in Elk, there ain't no smite still. Weibo came in as favorite, but they look like they are leaving here as losers. BLG smack them in their place again.
It's a death sentence for Casa, a death sentence for Crisp, and with that level of power play available to BLG, it could very well be a death sentence for Weibo Gaming. 4th seed versus 5th seed, maybe that would have fooled you into believing Weibo were the favorites today. They were close in the regular season. It has been anything but today, but it's BLG pulling so far ahead.
4-1 out, guys. Weibo Gaming, 6,000 gold down. This is the time that Bozo comes out to play. Rest in peace. BLG at this point, 16 on the Vega coming up, Nymera. He's so far ahead. It had to be mentioned. That's a 3-level lead through mid lane with a 30 CS lead as well. Now, Ben might be walking into trouble around this dragon, but Weibo still sticking around. There's the flash. Okay, Tiffus comes out, Train to Corruption. There's the pick. It enables Caster as Weibo might still be in this. The Hex Flash over the wall, not taken as Caster's still spotted here. BLG 25 seconds to the dragon, and they're still pivoting.
They are, but that was the anti-ultimate used. They do have Hook. They do. That's an Inferno waiting for them.
Flash away, it is indeed. Elk on the back end trying his might, but On is just caught out. Meanwhile, as you said, through mid, it's a bit of a push here, but the Shy stays back to defend as Elk, Shun, and Yagao moving as a unit. Crisp has only Hex Flash. Stretch line not into the cage as the Shy has to dodge away again from all the evil that Veigar spews. Casa ready to go back in. BLG.
They're trying to keep them on the map. They realize they don't have their teammates there right now. This is Weibo's moment.
Okay, well, can they find it? The Shy's going to be found in the middle. He flashes away. There's a depth charge, but again, BLG still healthy as Elk gets the ulti on the back end. Oh no! They're going to 3v5 this time. Mira, I'd be scared. Xiaohu and Light aren't even in the fight as Casa has to back away. They'll kill Light on the back end. No! Crisp these dredge lines. Oh, again! And again! And again! Billy Gaming will not be tested by you!
Elk turns them into roadkill. He puts them to the wayside, and Weibo Gaming, in their moment, in the 5v3, they can't get it done. BLG storm towards the Nexus.
And Nymera, for the first time in 4 years, BLG will move to the top 4. Weibo will be denied their mid laner Spring King in returning to the MSI, and the favorites are dead. Long may Billy reign.
Incredible series by BLG on the day. They move on, of course, to face one of our very top JDG beyond them. That will be a terrifying matchup for them in some ways, but it will also be an opportunity for Yagao to face the team which he won his championship with just last summer. History abounds in so many matchups in the LPL, but as we cut things down to our elite few, they become that much more tantalizing. BLG now with a 50% of remaining scenarios where they could end up at that international event. More seeds at MSI for the major regions gives them more opportunities to see themselves through to London.
I cannot believe what was once firm favorites, right? They're not first seed, they're not their favorites to go to MSI, but they're a team looked at as a serious opportunity to do so. They couldn't even take a single game off of Billy Gaming. This was the most disappointing series and the most one of the most disappointing games we've seen from Weibo thus far this split for a team that is a super team. Nymera, this is a team that, again, you look at the accolades internationally, this team should be going to internationals, or at least getting so close to, but not a single game against BLG. And look, having said that, BLG were by far the better team. They deserve the respect. But Weibo couldn't even step up to the plate today, and I think that would be the most disappointing thing of all, when you also have Easy Hoon as your coach, who also brings a wealth of experience to help you get to that point.
Yeah, and, you know, we will be able to talk about BLG later into playoffs, so we'll save a little bit of time for them later on. Sure. Saying goodbye to Weibo now, we have now seen Top Esports drop out, Super Team. We've now seen RNG drop out. maybe a super team as well with some of the names on there. We lost hope in them a little bit early on when they really struggled to even make playoffs. And now you have Weibo not even picking up a single game. It feels like the LPL has been through a period of change. Knight has left his franchise, Xiaohu left his franchise, Rookie, Scout, all leaving their home teams to find new pastures. And that has given room for teams like BLG, like OMG, to fill in the cracks where these big orgs, these super teams were before and find their own successes.
And again, when you have such big changes, especially looking at Weibo's scenario, you think that, well, it might not work out, but the way this team was structured, where it does make sense in theory. You know, Xiaohu is a great roaming mid laner who's quite a supportive mid, I'd say. Karsa, a very supportive jungler in the past as well. Shows he can be quite flexible. The Shine needs attention top. And Light and Crisp are great in 2v2, plus Crisp is really good syncing up with jungler. You dot the I's and cross the T's on Weibo because it all makes sense. But here in this game, Billy exposed them and exposed how rough around the edges they were, especially in their prep as well, Nightmare. It felt like a worse version coming out, or at least the version that really struggled against some of those lower tier teams later in the regular season.
Yeah, I think particularly you look at this top lane matchup, every team going against BLG will be asked the Bin question. Can you deal with Bin on on Kennen? What happens if you blind pick, say, power pick like that Kennen? Do you have a suitable response to it? And if you are going to hold counter pick, against him, do you have the champion pools to take on all comers at that point? Bin has been the best top laner in the LPL playoffs I have seen so far. Now, we're waiting for some top laners later into it. We are going to look at maybe Zikr if he gets some of his champion pool. We're looking at Ala with his huge champion pool as well. The level of top lane in the LPL, I think, has improved quite a lot over spring when you've had some of these top laners come online. That is an absurd damage graph. As you can see from there, Weibo, this is testament to their series. They didn't really get to play.
I just can't believe, again, that after the early game, much like it was, by the way, in game number 1, Nightmare, that nothing happened. Like that Weibo couldn't find anything. So, again, really rough call when, as you said, the damage was there. And, yeah, Elk and Bin, absolute huge. And it's funny that Yagao doesn't actually have the damage profile to go with that as well. Considering he was bleeding up. Yeah.
He did so much because those cages were in the right place. And as you said, he was playing the Vega like it was a LeBlanc, getting that first kill onto the Shy to set Bin up for success. I think this third game, I think despite this whole series being maybe less diverse in terms of how BLG won as compared to RNG, some of the skill sets really were on show again today in very different regards. Having Bin actually not win that 1v1 and kind of get the resources to turn that over on an individual way after Karsa kind of made a couple of visits top. That's an important thing to show. We also saw that Bin could absorb a losing matchup against Breathe and that Jarvan counterpick as well. BLG, they seem to really understand how they want to play around all areas of the map. They're a very concerted team.
They are indeed. And now BLG moving on to JDG. The fact that I'm saying those words is still just unbelievable, but their run against RNG and now Weibo has just shown us that this team can't be doubted, can't be underestimated. JDG is going to be a very different beast, but still, even the way they finished that game. As I'm being told that we are getting close towards, I believe, an interview as well. Nightmare, I hope so at the very least, was what I heard in my ear. But honestly, MVP of that last game, I think, let's be real, it should probably, is it going to be Elk? Is it going to be Elk again? Or is it going to be Bin?
I think in that game, it has to be Elk. That Aphelios is actually quite hard to play once you start losing flashes as you did from level 1, and particularly that last turnaround fight. Knowing that he didn't have the ultimate right at the start of when things started off, he lasts it on long enough to then say, okay, look, we can kite back. Don't worry, I have the cooldowns play around me. To turn that into a series-winning play, considering the level of AD carries in the LPL and looking at throughout this spring has really solidified himself amongst them. That is a capstone play to put in his montage reel and say, this is what this player is capable of achieving.
And the development has come through the years as well. I mean, we knew that development was possible, but it was just the fact it's gotten to this point is kind of crazy. Again, for Weibo, like, they'll be looking at summer, trying to patch this up, but we don't get to see this team again. For anyone out there wondering about the format, up to round 3, it is single elimination, best of 5. There is no second chance. And so BLG now can be comfortable that they've got double elimination. And they get to find out who's going to be joining them alongside EDG and LNG or OMG in the bottom side of the bracket. But I think our top 5 just got a little bit more interesting. And I kind of feel like we are running, now the best top laner in the top 4, because I think Bin, from my personal view, has been the best top laner this split. Now I'm pretty convinced of it after he just destroyed Breathe and the Shy.
But I love that we have that question still open there, because we've also seen Shanji massively step up on OMG. And don't get me wrong, he was always fun because he had different champion picks. But the way he played against top esports in that series just the other day, incredible to see. So I love that we have this question out there. Bin, right now, I don't think you can put him anywhere but the top of the tree. Looking at that, we're yet to see Ala come in. Maybe he can do something in EDG series against that winner of LNG or OMG. But the question is open, but the question is heavily weighted in favor of Bin.
And Bin now has to go up against 369. Looking forward to that one. Folks, just finding out if we're going to interview or not. I believe it's over in Suzhou. So I'm trying to wonder if that is actually the case. However, haven't heard anything so far. So we're going to pretend that it's all good to keep on going. Nymera, last thoughts, though, because talking about, I have been told, Elk is MVP. No interview as of yet, but Elk being MVP, again, it was going to be between him or Bin. But it feels like this is the right way to end, especially with the 3v5 at the very end of that last game.
Yeah, and he picks up a, well-earned extra points on the MVP count. Picks up a rare death on the Aphelios as well. As we said, coming out a regular split. 3 wins, 0 losses on the champion. No deaths as well. Picked up a couple in playoffs, but honestly, all of them are hard-earned. He just puts himself into positions to be threatening. It feels like every time he has another option with weapons in the back pocket, that first clip goes through that kind of flamethrower across the wave to stack up chakrams, goes into his lifesteal, and then blows him apart. In this one, gets the chakrams running, gets the single target CC. It can be a little bit hard to pick out the kind of expertise of an Aphelios as he keeps playing out these fights, but he's always in the right position as an immobile AD carry. He's always got the right weapons as an AD carry with that kind of Swiss Army knife, the jack of all trades in this champion. And look at this, he's always doing damage. This is why he has such high kill participation. This is why his damage per minute is so high. And this is why, even when you look at players like your Rulers, your Leaves, your other top table MVPs right now, Elk is still worthy of being in that conversation.
Oh, just an insane way to end again. God damn, Elk on that Aphelios is just absolutely insane. He should be. He definitely should be, because now, when he's going up against Ruler and he can hold his own, when he's going up against people like Leave, who's been, a rookie prodigy as well, Abel, LP, one of them is going to be coming through, and it feels like, Elk is by far better than that. As we're going to bring up our bracket here for the LPL and show you where things are at. That's round 3, started off nicely. A 3-0, our first 3-0 Nymera, and it happened this late in.
It was so unceremonious, though. Sometimes when you have a team sat there, they have a bit of a break from regular season. Sometimes they can lose a bit of steam. I guess one of the things about this gauntlet kind of setting. But at the end of the day, you didn't reach that top 2. You did not get that Guardian Angel for yourself. You didn't give yourself that extra life. And you've now fallen down by the wayside. It's just that how harsh this playoff system is. The LPL playoff system is so comprehensive at finding out weaknesses in teams and finding who the real best champions are in our league. Of course, next game coming up, LNG, OMG. LNG, very much one of our top teams for most of the regular split, but OMG starting to really pick up steam.
Yeah, they really are. And again, beating top esports is already a big enough feat. Can they do it against LNG? LNG and Weibo were favorites to make it into the top 4. If this could happen with BLG versus Weibo, then LNG, OMG, which is tomorrow, by the way, could do the same thing. And Nymera, that is going to be the last series before we go on a break for about 4 days or so. So tomorrow, make sure you tune in. A big thank you to Nymera for joining me tonight as well for what was a chaotic 3-0. And yeah, it was a good way to end at the very least with an explosive fight. But folks, BLG in the top 4. Congratulations to this up-and-coming team that has just seemed to work. Back in the top 4 for the first time in 4 years. We're going to see how far they can go, but it is bye for now, but not forever. See you tomorrow for LPL Round 3 to continue.